Good morning, Viet Bar. Welcome back, everybody, to the Brightworks, where today we're going to be taking a look at exactly what's going down in the Fight Night. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Getting myself up here, up and running, up to speed, filled up on delicious water, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. As of recording this, we are about 3 minutes into the future, so I'm just going to take my time to say hello to each and every one of you that graces the stream right here. I hope you're having a fabulous day. It's a wonderful Saturday morning, and I'm excited to take a look at this 1v1 tournament that's going to be going on as I set up some more of these things right here. Should be, yeah, hold on. Configuration is always fun. Good old-fashioned professional commentator caster actually having everything set up beforehand, wouldn't you know it? There we go. There's the challenge. I believe, but is that old? Might be old. Anyway, there we go. There we go. Now we might be... Something about this doesn't look right. Let's have a look-see here. If we wanted to... Where is this thing coming from? I always love when random things get pulled up. Oh, there we go. Alright. Are we set to begin? It looks like this is, it looks like 2 players have dropped. We had 10 players early this morning. Now I'm only seeing 8, so I'm not sure exactly what happened. But I guess we will be. I guess we'll be having an 8-man tournament. All right. Means the competition is fierce because each and every competitor you're competing against, you're you're competing very heavily. Let me try and figure out what's going on with this window, though. Not entirely sure. Not entirely sure. Did I have these flipped last time? Oh, that could be it. That could definitely be it. Hold on. Ah, there we go. There we go. I've got the names of these wrong, but there we go. Don't you enjoy it? Don't you enjoy seeing it live? How the sausage gets made, doing it live, doing it on time. Looks like our delay has just run out, so we will actually officially be going live right here. The kilobits are flowing nicely, and it looks like the closed captions are closed captioning as well. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this button, which should auto-magically start spitting out a Twitch output as well. And things should start to be up and ripe and rolling as we get going this morning. Did I do that properly? Sure hope so. Sure hope so. That's what we like to do around here. We'll go ahead and go to the announcements. Going live on the YouTubes and official Twitch for Fight Night Fight Night XXI. There we go. There we go. Looking good. All right. Now, usually when I start one of these streams, and because it's a 3-minute delay, it's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit tricky, right? But usually whenever I start one of these streams, I like to go ahead and check in, make sure that everything looks all good. Looks like the YouTube stream is working perfectly. Always good to see that that's working out nicely. And then we go over to the Twitch stream. I know you guys are just watching the same screen over and over. I'm also stalling. I'm stalling for this bracket to get set up here. Waiting for the announcement that says that we are green and ready to go. Starting 4 minutes ago. All right, we're probably ready to start finding some matches here. Phew, looking good. Looking real good. Beyond a Reason official. Are we live properly? Does not look like it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Where is this stream going? I have no rightful idea. Hopefully it's going somewhere. I guess what we will do... Let's go ahead and... Fight Night. Yeah, there we go. Oh, very good. We've got our 4 Fight Night lobbies up and running, and it looks like we've got a third one there as well, just in case. Just in case. Looks like these commanders are ripe and ready to go. Now, one of the issues here is I don't know if there's a 3-minute stream delay for the Twitch as well. I hope that's the case. Does that mean they're out of sync? Oh gosh. It might. It might mean they're out of sync. Oh, no, looks like it's up. Yippee! Looks like it's up. Okay, wonderful. I'm always so hesitant, right? I want to give you guys a show. I don't necessarily want to I don't want to take away your opportunity to watch in whatever format you do prefer. There we go. We got some of the YouTube chats popping up. That will be the next integration that I look into, is building a system so that the Twitch and the YouTube chats are put in one merged format. Now, some of you might have noticed there should be a closed captioning option now available. I don't know. I'm not entirely familiar with the system. I'm not entirely sure, but it does mean that there's a way for you to turn on closed captioning and hear what I'm speaking visually. Might be the weirdest sentence I've ever said. You know how it goes. Let's see if we can find a match here. So, these are rankings for today. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to be seeded out because it is only 8 players, and so that does mean that we are going to be doing, I believe it's best of 3s per? I'm not entirely sure. The organization is different based on every single one of these, but I'll hit a refresh here and we'll just take a look at how these are stacked up, and we'll just check out some of these beautiful maps that are going on. Looks like we do have quite a few as well. The first, well, yeah, okay, we got some good ones. Oh, there we go. Looks like the first match of today has been started already. Let me double check that it's going to be up and running properly, and it looks like it's going to be Neb versus Modulo. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to watch some bar, some top tier bar too. This is not your granny's bar. This is the bar. The bar of all time, and we'll go ahead and switch back to the main scene. Hopefully this works properly. Did my game just oh, my game almost crashed. It was real close. It was real close. Hey, what's up, Sandy G3TX? How's it going? Good to see you guys. Hope you guys are having a fabulous day. A wonderful day. And we are in. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Jurassic Canis River. That's an interesting overlay. New to me, the little squares on the map right here. Some interesting shading going on as well. My goodness, we are up and running. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Bar Fight Night XXI. That's, what, 21, I believe? Yeah. Modulo, spawning in the southwestern corner and going to be playing as a Red Cortex Commander, wearing a beautiful set of earmuffs and a bright red nose as well, invoking images of Rudolph's and red-nosed reindeer. Going to be going on for the high ground here. Interesting start. Going to be going for what I guess would normally be considered a little bit more of a safer start, rather than the a little bit more greedy, but a little bit more exposed start on the low ground right here. Modulo instead deciding to go ahead and go for a little bit a little bit of a safer start. Now, I wonder if that means we're going to go into, yeah, vehicle lab. Okay, so the vehicle lab makes a lot of sense. Obviously, you come up to speed a little bit slower, but when you start with a more secure base, it means you have the time to go for a little bit more. You can afford the slower speed. Neb, however, Neb and Chad Neezer having no such qualms about going into bots today. Going to be playing as a Cortex Commander as well, also with that beautiful set of reindeer ears. Or antlers, I suppose, not really ears. Reindeer don't really have ears, do they? I'm joking. I'm joking. That was not a serious comment. Somebody should clip that, though. That's pretty funny. Neb, gonna be playing as a Cortex Commander here as well, but going into bots. So we do have a little bit of a situation going on. We have bots versus vehicles, and that's a funky little mix-up because, of course, those bots have quite a bit less health, but they are quite a bit more maneuverable. There's a couple of spots in this map where you can take advantage of that, namely these little hillsides right here, these sort of ramparts that lead up into, well, for instance, the main red base here. Any of these little ramps that do come up and running are going to be really, really difficult for the bots to, or for the vehicles to contest against the bots. So we'll have to see if the blue commander can contest all of that strategically, using those ramp areas, those not so flat lands, those unflat lands, the Great Desert Wastes, the Oil Wars. Been watching Mad Max recently. Sorry, I'm kind of on like a bender. Modulo, looking for a way to step forward here, and I think it's going to be with the commander. We're moving forward with the comm, obviously a very safe expansion here. Just moving forward with the comm, using the constructor in the back line to build everything. Not bad whatsoever, because of course those constructors, they have a decent amount of build power, so I would say that it's well worth going into a couple of them. They almost always have something to offer in terms of usefulness, right, in the back line, whether it's building economy structures, whether it's pumping out more and more units, and you can see they're not necessarily very expensive either. At 145 metal, I think they're about the same price as a construction bot. A little bit more expensive, but basically the same thing. What's the build power like, though? You know, I haven't run a cost-benefit analysis on these in quite some time. Ooh, Rascal. Rascal, ooh, just barely manages to kill the metal extractor. Nicely done right there for the red commander. One metal extractor, the first damage of the game. Not much, but definitely well worth it. That mech goes down, and of course that's a little bit of metal the blue commander won't be getting. Resbot pulled immediately here by Neb in order to get that up and running. Means, of course, that we won't actually have to rebuild the metal extractor. Saves quite a lot of money, and, well, getting that up and running quicker rather than later is obviously a huge benefit. So nice crisis management here by Neb. Modulo continuing to move forward here with the commander, just going for good old-fashioned LLT radar tower or metal extractor expansions. Sort of a nice balance between greed and safety. The eco here definitely needs a little bit of a boost, though. You can see the mechs, or the metal income right now for the red commander, clocking in at about 22. The blue commander's 12. Definitely leaves a little bit lacking, but the blue commander is expanding outwards as well. This is a 5-minute no rush game if ever I did see one. Yeah, those laser blasters going to be firing away, pew pew pew, as the grunts manage to shut down those early rascals. Nicely done. That's a great defense right there from our blue hero. Our 35 open skill blue hero going up against the 53 open skill Modulo. Definitely, if open skill alone were any indicator of how this match should go, Modulo definitely would have the lead. LLT's in twins coming up over here for the red metal extractor expansion, but we are having power issues, so getting those wind turbines up and running is going to be really useful. On this map, 4 wind speed does mean, of course, that there's a potential that that Cortex wind turbines are not going to be very efficient. At the end of the day, though, I think both of these commanders are more than happy to risk the inefficiency for the reward of having an efficient wind turbine if you roll well, if the luck is on your side. Whole bunch of incisor now pushing forward. Those are the Cortex light tank firing a little laser beam. Pew, 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 pew. They are really quite good. They're sort of one of those units that when they pop up, they do huge amounts of work. And I think we've seen them in just about every single premier tournament that we've watched so far. Yeah, the incisor has made a massive resurgence, I would say. Not that it was ever really frowned upon per se, or you know, not that it was ever exactly a unit that people didn't want to use, but it definitely wasn't as strong and solid across the board as it is now. And the more and more that we see on the map right here, the more worried I am, certainly, for the effects of the blue commander, who needs to take some really efficient fights in order to fight these incisors here. For what it's worth, we do have the units. Yep. Nice response right there. Loses one of those grunts, but we do manage to reshape the army into a more efficient defensive force and manage to deflect this attack quite nicely. Losing a couple of those grunts, not the end of the world, and of course with the res bot out, we're going to be able to pick up those soldiers and put them back out on the front line as well. A nice little addition here. We have some we have some Easter eggs out on the map here. Little pearls of I don't even know what. Yeah, these incisor balls are very deadly. So the recent buff, the buff that incisors received was basically that they can fire past each other now. So previously, incisors had an issue where, a quote-unquote issue, where they couldn't fire past each other. They would sort of just kind of block each other a whole bunch, so when you had them in a big ball, they couldn't really shoot past each other. Nowadays, that issue has been basically resolved, and you can see here as we kind of get into the scrap of it here that the hitbox, or however it's defined, somebody's corrected me on that before, is basically just slightly better defined here. Means that these incisors are, well, for one, they're able to actually fire out of the front of their cannon rather than just kind of vaguely being blocked by having a friendly unit in front of them. I feel like it makes sense, right? If you're commanding an army of robot tanks, I feel like they ought to have aiming sensors that allow them to cut it really close when the friendly fire is concerned. Especially considering some of these units do not cut it very close when when the friendly fire is concerned. Pardon me, taking a sippy of my drink here as we watch this bundle of incisors. We do have a whopping 10 incisors at this point for the Red Commander modulo. Pardon me. Still getting over this throat cold, so you'll have to bear with me here. 10 incisor, not a little group of units. It's definitely a bundle of units that can get some good work done here in the early game. The red side of the map looking fabulous. A basically complete expansion. Yeah, everywhere on the red map is looking very, very nice at this point. Not a lot of damage has been found so far. The blue commander has been poking and prodding and trying to find an opening, but just hasn't managed to find that opening quite yet. Little bit of aggression over here now as a couple of grunts do push through. They want to grab that constructor. Yeah. Incisors and the exploiter armed metal extractor will be in position to defend, though, and that constructor will remain up and running, reclaiming all that metal, that juicy, sweet, succulent silver metal, and sending it back towards the red base. Whoa, Nebuchadnezzar throws in the towel here, apparently recognizing that the eco imbalance was ginormous, with a metal production bonus of 12,000 to the blue commander's 10,000. Narrowing in on 13,000 there. A tactical read from Nebuchadnezzar has him believing that this game is out of control. Throws in the towel. Let's take a look at these graphs really quickly. Yeah, the graphs sort of tell the story. You can see it was just a slow and steady economic increase, but the red commander eventually just had so much of the map under their control that it really didn't matter that there were units on the field for the blue commander. It would have just been a slow battle of attrition until eventually we hit rock bottom. All right. A little bit of friendly banter going on in the backlogs here. Do we have another one up and running? We do indeed. Shashgrin versus User 001. I believe we should get an opportunity to see basically everybody fighting it out today. All fun and games for the grunts till the pounders show up. Absolutely true. Pounders are, in many ways, the exact menace to the grunt, to the pawn, to the tick, to the bride. Sorry, that's Alexander Hamilton. That's a completely different IP. I crossed my beams. Here you go. Here's a sound profile for you. That's the sound of a crisp RC Cola cracking open in the morning. Not sponsored, but hey, if Royal Crown is looking to reach out to me, feel free. I know I make that joke every single time. One of these days, it's actually going to happen. I'm going to be so thrilled. Speak it into existence, right? It feels good to be back. Feels good to be doing some top tier bar. After being sick for a little while, it definitely feels nice to be back in the saddle, doing what I love, commentating these games, checking out some of the best of the best of the best of the best, sir. As we move our way to Theta Crystals 1.3. Theta Crystals 1.3 AM FM radio. I need a little jingle. I need a little Brightworks jingle. Maybe that'll be the first community contest. I've been looking to do more community contests where we look into some fun things like that. By the way, it's a good time to place a bet. I'm not sure if the I'm not sure how our moderators are doing today. I hope they're doing well. I see at least one of them in the chat, and I know Shadow was around for at least a little bit here. I think Isbad was here as well. Always good to see. Jack Jones says, I'm new. What are the candy canes on the map? They are a Christmas event. A Christmas time. A wonderful Christmas time. They represent basically nothing in terms of energy or metal production. Technically speaking, they are worth 5 energy a pop. To what extent that unbalances the game, there's an argument to be made that the extra 25 or so energy that you get in the early game could totally skew the results of a game. I, however, don't believe that's the case. I think they're just good old-fashioned holiday cheer. Yeah, everybody just getting ready to celebrate the peppermint holidays with a little bit of candy cane. Personally, always been a sour enjoyer. Yeah, I've always liked the sour a lot more than the, what do you call it? I like the sour a lot more than the than minty or pepperminty or whatever. I feel like sour works really nicely. Wind speed ramping up. As you can see, these two buddying up to each other and enjoying that wind speed. We do have a Resbot out on the field. Obviously, one of the benefits of Theta Crystals are these plentiful Theta Crystals. I like to call them Duracell Crystals. They're what power the robots. This is what's inside of a Duracell. In case you never cracked one of those open in your childhood. Fun fact. Do not try it at home. Yeah, this is what's inside of those. This is what's inside of your AA batteries. Whole bunch of Theta Crystals. How about the game going on though? We do have a game of bar going on, and it looks like the Red Commander using a bot lab here to expand forward. Looks like Modulo is going to be contesting this northern high ground here with a whole bunch of bots. Likewise, it looks like it's going to be good old-fashioned core bots here for Neb as well, trying to pump out a whole bunch of those grunts and put them out on the field here. It comes down on this map to basically who can multitask better, because there's 2 different opportunity paths here. You can see we have the big high ground right here, which is available, and of course we have this low ground to contest as well. Ooh. Low ground to contest as well. There we go. That's a better line. Drawn right through the sand. It's a bit of a weird situation, because as this high ground becomes turtled up and full of defensive structures, suddenly it becomes really unpleasant to fight up there, and so most of the units just kind of end up being routed around this way anyways. Kind of a funny way that this map actually ends up working out. It is pretty interesting, though, and I like it a lot. I think this map is really ideal for 4v4. Sometimes 3v3 is fun, too, because usually what that means is that one player gets a gigantic economy and the other two kind of get a normal economy, and then you get to watch these kind of interesting games where you basically have 2 frontliners and then a backliner, and they have to decide, do we go into backline tech or do we go into a whole bunch of eco? Pretty interesting interaction, some good old-fashioned shenanigans. He shenanigans. Oh, there we go. There's the bet. Yeah, I always forget about that 3-minute delay. For anybody who's curious, when I normally stream on Saturdays, I try not to stream with, well, I don't stream with a delay, so it always catches me off guard, yeah. Isbad says he's doing well, and that's good to hear. Isbad, like, singularly the reason a lot of this comes to fruition. One of the reasons for a large majority of the success around here. Very, very thrilled with the way that things are going so far. And I think Modulo probably is too. Yeah, taking these expansions with the double constructor expand, yeah, we're just going to be sending the con forward to grab all these mexes. Going to be building some LLTs here and there as well, which is always cool. But getting those mexes up and running really is top priority, and you can see as these metal extractors come up and online, suddenly it's going to be more and more and more metal going back to the red economy. We're actually even going to go for a E converter here. Might as well. I mean, if you're overflowing energy consistently, you may as well convert at least some of it into metal. I almost wish, this is a greedy ask, but I almost wish in bar when you clicked on an energy converter, it would just store how much metal it actually how much metal it actually converted, or how much, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it very well. I know I'm not saying it very well, but you know what I'm saying. How much energy it converted into metal. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. Seems like a pretty fun stat to know. Just how much production exactly has this thing made? Seems like one of those fun little statistics, right? Let me go ahead and switch over here. Perfect. Fight night, but it's morning. Yeah, that is definitely one oversight. Excellent aggression over here from the blue commander as we do move forward with a whole bunch of grunts. They're going to manage to flash down all the defensive units right here. Oh, yeah, even taking a great fight right there against the red reinforcements. Blasting through the economy right here and doing a whole bunch of damage in the backline. The red commander now going to have to send over another constructor. We do have one moving forward right here. I think repositioning this backwards in order to rebuild all this. Maybe we're just going to use a resbot, though, to try and clean it up as well. Oh, nicely done. Yeah, self-D on those grunts. I suppose Neb didn't really feel like he was going to be able to do all too much. And so decided that the best bet was going to just go ahead and sacrifice those units so that the metal was not left in the enemy backline. Now the resbot is going to be charged with getting those metal extractors back up and running, and likely a constructor too, I believe. Yeah, there is a constructor wreckage over here. Blue commander very nicely expanding over in the backline, so you can see these constructors. Hard at work building a whole bunch of LLTs and metal extractors and all sorts of other stuff. The economy for the blue commander up to 31 metal per second. We are definitely headed towards what some might consider a T2 economy. Now, production ramping up here as well. You can see another construction tower coming up and running. That'll be up and operational in about 7 seconds here. Not bad. Does mean that the blue commander is going to be rocking a hefty sum of production for the meantime. Modulo just boosting out production with the commander. Not the end of the world, but it does leave your commander a little bit tied up in the main base, whereas Neb is easily freely to expand out and onto the map right now. Going to be building some of those metal extractors, LLTs, all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Tremendous red army headed north right now, and I think that's I think it's a dangerous moment right here. A brutal fight back and forth between these two armies. I want to say basically a tie, although the blue forces did manage to take down the LLT and the metal extractor. So a slight advantage on the southern side right here for the blue commander. Meanwhile, defending wonderfully on this northern side as well. A lot of this comes down to the way that this engagement works. The way that it's literally physically shaped. And the shape of it is looking wonderful right now for the blue commander. Enough forces to get a basically full surround. And we're almost ready for T2. I wonder if we're just going to go into T2. No, we're going to go into vehicles. Okay, interesting. We hardly ever see that T2 rush, but I feel like it'd be pretty fun to see. Instead, the blue commander here, Neb, going to go ahead and take the slightly easier, or slightly, not easier, but the slightly more standard option, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Gonna go for a couple of incisors. Now, obviously, these incisors are gonna really struggle on this hillside. One of the reasons I'm sure why Neb has actually not gone ahead and gotten rid of the bot lab is because we're gonna want it in order to, in order to actually fight on this hill. Nice engagement right there. And every one of these grunts that goes down is getting resurrected right here by these resbots. Cool to see. Resbots so powerful, such a useful tool for dealing with all this, and now reinforcements can be sent southward. Yeah, that economic bonus that for having these mechs up and online for the blue commander is quite nice, but now you can see the red modulo has managed to catch up here as well. Yeah, resbot available here for the red commander as well, but it's just a mass of units. More stuff beats less stuff, as they say. Oh, constructor stepping a little too far forward here. He's got ambitions. Dreams, you might say. Yeah, this army will be deflected really nicely, though. There we go. Nice catch. Yeah, all said and done, I want to say this is a great opportunity right here for the blue commander to push forward. There's a finite time. In fact, we just crossed the threshold right here where suddenly the red economy is going to out-expand the blue. Because we are going for these exploiters, these armed metal extractors, it means that the expansion rate is going to stop suddenly. And that can mean a lot. Suddenly, you're left with units on all sides. Resbots, in a rough position here. Nice catch. Red Commander finds the Resbots out and about, idly standing by, and does manage to jump on top of them. 4 Resbots, not a bad pick whatsoever. Constructors waddling away as well. Right in time for a big old engagement on the southern front. Basically an attack and a counterattack right here, but the units that went down on the blue side of the map have definitely left quite a lot of wreckage that's going to be available. Constructor here in trouble, of course. Easily flashed down by the forces in blue on the southern side. Incisors coming out in mass right now from the red commander. Looks like Modulo has gone for basically the same strategy, except, however, we also are throwing in some shurikens. So we've gone into an air lab. We're going to be making a big old air transition and going into a whole bunch of those air units. Shuriken, obviously very powerful, but also bombers and fighters going to be quite nice as well. Winning that early air superiority can mean a lot. Resbot trying to resurrect as much of this field of units as possible. This is a dangerous army right here, though, for the red commander. Roughly speaking, about 1,700 metal versus just about 1,200 for the blue commander. Not an insurmountable difference, I would say. Definitely a tricky one. But there we go. De-equalizing the field right here. The shuriken jumping on top of a whole bunch of these units and paralyzing them all. Just like that, the blue commander loses every bit of, well, defense on the southern side. Oh my goodness. The shuriken pull is gigantic as suddenly this red army sweeps through with no contest. And just like that, manages to blast apart all those defenses. Very nicely done. All those units go down. Meanwhile, there's grunts in the backline as well. Shuriken lab, the air lab, come up and running here for the blue commander as well. The red unit will be eaten up, but there are a couple grunts still eaten in the backline, still focusing down those metal extractors. Incisors rolling forward here as well. It's red across the board as Modulo has gone ahead and, with a killer play, broken it down. You guys are too sweet. I'm seeing the moderators in chat. 3 minutes later, I'm seeing him in chat. You guys are the best. You guys really are. This is a brutal situation right here. Yeah, loads of trashers were produced, but suddenly there's incisors in the base, and the trashers, they're not experts. They can't really do ground to ground. GG is called. Yep. Neb throws in the towel. A couple of these mine layers were built. That would have been an interesting idea. Just didn't have the time in order to pull it off. At the end of the day, the most valuable resource that anybody does have in a game of Beyond All Reason, in an RTS game, is of course that real time. And it'll be Modulo who takes the victory. Nicely done. A much closer game right there, I would say. The eco-scaling was much more similar. There was definitely some back and forth play right there, but eventually it was Modulo with the air play. Those shuriken just got way too efficient of a trade right there in order to allow the red army into the main base. And I think that ultimately was the deciding factor. Very nicely done. 2-0 right there for Modulo. Going to put quite a few points on the board. Let's go ahead and check out if there's any other fight nights still going on. Looks like there is. We'll go ahead and jump over to this game. 9-minute long game. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Battle started.
Check this out. Perfect. It's night for me, or evening, but it's dark outside. Yeah, that's the thing about Beyond No Reason. Oh. Well, this is definitely an interesting situation to join the game in. Rexel with a leading advantage of about 46 metal production. The Blue Commander clocking in at just around 40 when reclaiming, closer to 12 or so without reclaim. I barely started playing this game. Well, kudos to you, Ghoul442, signing up for a tournament after just learning how to play the game. Commendable, to say the very, very least. Nicely done to our blue hero. Incisors coming across the board. Jumping on top of the Blue Commander, and boom, he goes. Don't want to throw, cries out Rexel. And I think that's a fair sentiment. I don't think anybody really wants to throw. But it does look like this game will come to an end. Nicely done. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like that will be the end of round one. I'll go ahead and pull up my bracket over here. Give me 1 second to do that. Shashkaran and User are still duking it out. Is it a best of 2 or a best of 3? I cannot remember. Things that I probably should remember and definitely did not. Well, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it is what it is. We'll go ahead and, let me go ahead and show you that leaderboards here. There we are. There we go. Modulo taking the cake here, 2-0 against Nebuchadnezzar. Domino, likewise, 2-0 against Dutch SNP. Shashkaran and User 001JA apparently going 1-1 with each other, and I believe it's a tie. I believe it's a best of 2. So I think it means that those two commanders have each put a point on the board, but neither of them managed to claim the entirety of their bracket. And of course, it does mean we also have Rexel and Ghoul. Rexel taking the cake here, 2-0 against our brand new hero. And that means we'll be headed into round 2. Modulo versus Rexel, Dutch SMP versus Ghoul, Neba versus User 001JA, and Domino versus Shashkaran. Let's get it started. Looks like they're organizing themselves right now. We have Neb and Modulo and Ash, and we have, who's that? Dutch SMP, Domino. Whole bunch of these commanders all getting ready to play against each other. There's a little bit of a break in between each one of these rounds, so we do have a little bit of time to discuss this sort of thing. One of the options I wanted to take a look at here is, of course, the leaderboards, which I have pulled up over on the left-hand side there. Or right-hand side? Oh, yeah, because it's mirrored. Anyway. Anyway, our dual leaderboards right here. You can see a lot of the top talent not making it out today, but Modulo going to be certainly up there as far as, as far as skill factor goes, clocking in at 46.27. True skill or open skill, however you want to call it. Actually, I believe those are two different things, so probably important to distinguish there. And there we go. Rexel is down there as well. Number 22 on the leaderboards, clocking in at 36.6, and it continues to go down as well. So I believe this shows the top 100. Yeah. Top 100 players, some of which making it out to today's tournament. Very cool indeed. Nice Pepe. It's a good one. I appreciate a good Pepe. Never seen Modulo in game before. Always spectating. That's pretty funny. Some players... I'm pointing at myself. I know you can't see it. There's no camera or anything, but I'm pointing at myself. Some players watch a lot more Beyond All Reason than they actually play. About once a week on Saturdays from 12 to 4, I play a lot of Beyond All Reason. And outside of that, I tend to watch a lot of Beyond All Reason. Waiting and watching, hoping and praying to see that this is going to come on up. We should be ripping and roaring to get our next set of matches underway. I'm guessing these commanders are just going ahead and waiting until round 2 is up and running. In the meantime, we can take a look at some of these other statistics. I am always curious about this leaderboard. There is always some pretty interesting stuff on here. Like, for instance, the large and small team games. Oh, you know what? Let me take a look at this. Lot of information here. But the one thing I wanted to look for is this. There we go. Yeah, so this is a breakdown that I always have to go back and look at every so often. It's the way that the chevron count works. So you can see 1 chevron is less than 5 hours. 2 chevrons is 5 to 15 hours. 3 is 15 to 100. The sort of 4, I guess, is 100 to 250. The silver tail is 250 to 1,000. And the full silver is over 1,000 hours. And then you have special ones like contributor and tournament winner. Pretty cool to me, because it means, of course, that you have sort of 2 ways of gauging how powerful somebody is. You can always take a look at their actual little badge on the right hand side, and you could figure it out. You might notice that I have the silver badge, the highest possible badge you can get before you have a contributor or a tournament winner badge. Brightwork's not so good enough to win a tournament, but definitely pretty good at playing Beyond All Reason for a lot of time. If there's a 2,000 hour badge, I'll probably get that one too. Maybe even a 3,000 or 4,000. Yeah. Suffice it to say, I watch a lot of Beyond All Reason. I think it counts for that as well. I think it counts if you're watching games or playing games. If it doesn't, then, that's pretty impressive. Only the realest bars know. And it looks like we are headed into our next match. I will go ahead and switch us back on over to this one. There we go. There we are. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Candace River, where we will once again be watching some top-tier players duking it out here. Looks like we've got two UK players going to be fighting it out on the front lines right now. We've got Modulo spawning on the northern side as the blue team leader. And, of course, we have Rexel on the southern side going to be spawning as the red team leader. Now, neither of these commanders going for Armada, which is a little bit of a bummer. I feel like in the last tournament we saw a lot of Armada come out, but in this tournament, not going to be the case. We didn't get a chance to see very much. I am curious. Yeah. I always want to watch the best game, right? One of those things where I always want to watch the best game, but at the same time, they're all good. They're all the best game. What is this strategy here from Rexel? A very, very far forward vehicle lab right here for a red commander. Okay. Wearing Rudolph the Red-Nosed antlers as well as their goblin hat. Rexel DME from the DME clan going to be showing us what they've got on the front line as a previous tournament winner as well as a festive Cortex commander. Yeah, gonna be definitely showing us some hot stuff. Blue Commander Modulo, meanwhile. No goblin on his head. Gonna be going for a couple of those solar panels. Not bad. Cortex solar panels. Definitely one of the interesting designs of all time. They've got a certain sort of a thing going on to them, don't they? I'm mostly curious about this little rotating section in the middle of it right there. Yeah, I don't know. I do not necessarily know how that works. Something solar pressure, photon variance effect, you know, electrostatic pressure, something. I took a lot of engineering courses, but wasn't necessarily photovoltaics was not necessarily my expertise. I studied robots. Robots like Roxelle. Robots of destruction and decommissioning. Meant to destroy the enemy. Yeah. Interesting. We're actually gonna go ahead and dismantle a solar panel. Roxelle's struggling with energy issues and decides to dismantle the solar panel. Is an interesting decision. I don't mind it, of course. Remember, I hate T1 solar panels with a fervent passion. If there's one thing, if there's a new player out there, if there's a single new player out there, what I hope you take away from this is that T1 solar panels are just awful. 150 energy for, or sorry, 150 metal for 20 energy is abysmal. Relative to, say, for instance, these wind turbines, which are 90 metal for 20 energy, you can see how inefficient these solar panels are immediately. And that's why Roxelle is eating them up, right? This metal is much more valuable in the form of a unit or a wind turbine or something like that, but only when the wind speed is high. So as soon as this wind speed plummets again, then those solar panels are going to be, suffice it to say, necessary. It's a good old-fashioned incisor game, though. Can't help but feel like we've seen this game before, getting a little bit of deja vu here as we see these incisors roll out, but I don't think we've seen incisors on the high ground quite yet, so it will be interesting to see them interact up here. Mostly flat ground. It's going to come down to who takes a better shape of engagement right now, and the formation is slightly better right here for the blue commander, of course. The concave beats the convex. As you can see, with one of those tanks for the red commander going down first, it's the snowball effect. Not sure why I put that in put that in song form. You know what? This is actually a huge amount of damage, though. Yeah, this incisor has actually done a massive amount of work. There we go. Blowing up metal extractors left, right, and center. My goodness, 3-shotting metal extractors is crazy. Incisors really pack a wallop. Way more of a wallop than you really would think. GG's, cries the red commander. Wow, actually decides to give up. After doing a whole bunch of eco damage, apparently not feeling comfortable continuing to play. Wow. What an early game right there from Roxelle. I'm a little surprised. I'm definitely a little bit surprised. I suppose felt like was just falling behind on the eco, didn't get enough damage to justify it, and so ended up throwing in the towel. Well, alright. Oh, this is an interesting map coming up. We've got Titan Duel version 3. We'll take a look here in just a second after we load into the game. Should be a pretty interesting one, though. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure if we've ever seen it on this, at least on my channel. We've probably seen it. I'd be surprised if we hadn't seen it on the official Twitch channel. Yeah, maybe it is a fan, so they don't overheat. Calabas, that's a nice theory. A solar panel theory. Yeah, I like that. Those solar panels, I mean, they spend all day collecting energy, right? Makes sense that they might overheat a little bit. I always like the idea, and beyond all reason, I have no idea how you'd like do this necessarily, but I always like the idea of a big solar farm that was basically like you built a tower. Basically the way that what molten salt solar farms work in the real world. Some sort of a structure you put down, right? You put down like a big structure, and within its area, you can build more towers, and they reflect light up to the little tower. And as you build more and more of them in that area, it works a little bit better. Basically, like solar panels, a little bit cheaper, but also more finicky to set up, so it becomes a little bit harder. I always thought that was a pretty interesting idea. You can imagine, right? You have a big tower, big collector tower thing, and then you have all these little solar panels around the outside. Doing my best to do an artist rendition. And then they all beam the light up, right? And there'd be a million of these. I think it'd be a pretty fun idea. Building a bunch of little heat-based solar panels. Like a box plant with flowers, yeah. Heat drives the turbine to make electricity. Everybody knows that. Is that how that works? Maybe you get some sort of like an evaporative effect, right? With like the heat on one side creates lift or something. As it produces hot air, it produces a little bit of a drag force. I'm trying my best to make it work, man. I really am. I want Cortex solar panels to make sense. I really want them to. But to be honest, it kind of looks like they just sort of bolted a bunch of solar panels to, like, a big HVAC unit or something. Like, it kind of looks like they just took, like, a big air conditioner and were like, yeah, we'll just cover it in photovoltaic cells and call it a day. They look like basically regular solar panels to me. I don't know. I can't really tell much of a difference about those solar panels. I can tell you what, it's not very much surface area, and that's kind of the name of the game for solar panels. It's like, I don't know, maybe 70% of this solar array covered in solar panels. It's probably why they're so expensive, though. I mean, they're 150 metal for very little energy, so I guess that justifies it. We got the dogs barking. Energy. Power. Beyond all reason. You consider doing some videos where you play and narrate yourself, like Not Real / David Skinner. I have done that in the past. Kind of interesting idea. There's, in some respects, it feels a little bit weird because I'm used to narrating games that I haven't seen before. I'm also not as good at playing when I'm narrating as well. But yeah, I've definitely commentated on my own games before, so it might be interesting. I could definitely give it a try because you guys know that I'm always open to feedback. I'm always happy to hear suggestions, ideas, or anything else that you guys want to hear. Always makes me happy whenever there's feedback in the suggestion box. I just have to give it a try, figure it out, see what works and see what doesn't. A little bit of damage right here from the red grunts. Managed to push into the base right here. We do have one of them getting stuck on the laser tower. Not going to push any further. The grunts establishing a beautiful front line, though. And we do have construction bots moving forward to claim a whole bunch of this midsection as well as Raxel starts to rack up the paper. Stacking metal to the ceiling on 24-inch chrome. Going to start bumping out a whole bunch of those grunts and moving them across. Trying to do a little bit of damage here. Modula's commander actually feels a little exposed, I want to say. Yeah. In the early games, before mass vehicles come out, and you can't really contest the mass vehicles, it really does feel like the commander has to expose himself quite a little bit. Yeah. Either way, metal extractors coming up on the left-hand side. Looks like a big bundle of incisor. That's 5 incisors in total, with the 6 straggling behind. Headed out to try and intercept with the main red base. Ooh. Nice trade right there, yeah. Incisors managing to get away. They have so much HP that they can really get away with bullying grunts pretty easily here. I'm not entirely sure that the grunts were a worthwhile investment. That constructor in a whole lot of trouble. Boom goes the constructor, and I think that's what we were hoping for. A little bit of bait, though, maybe, as the red commander pounces on top of all these units right here, catching a whole bunch of those incisor and flashing them down with the little light laser armaments now attached to the arms right here of the good old-fashioned grunts. Yeah. Little run-by attempt happening over here as well. We do have LLTs guarding everything, though, so one grunt on its own. Not going to be able to change the world. A couple of resbots out, though, going to resurrect all of this army, all the constructor, everything else that's available over here. Get this progress back up and running, and of course, maybe even getting this geothermal up and running. Would be ideal to have this geothermal going, producing energy, working non-stop. I think solar should be a little better. Seems they don't get used as much. the thing about solar panels is they are basically a glorified metal storage. Because it's best to have your metal, it's best to have no metal in your bank and have all your metal on the field in some way, some shape or form. There are obviously better ways. There are obviously better, there are obviously worse ways. But in some form or capacity, it's better to have your metal on the field than just sitting in your bank account. This is actually great investment advice. No, I'm not taking that. I'm not saying that seriously. Do not take banking advice from the Brightworks. Do not listen to me for your banking advice if you go into poverty. Do not blame me for the poor banking decisions that you have made. Okay, I'm caveating all of this. It's a great strategy, right? You gotta diversify your investments. Ooh, nice self-D. Oh, that was a great self-D right there. Taking out tons of those grunts with the self-destruct right there, wiping out probably 2/3 of this entire composition, this entire force of grunts, and now the other LLTs are gonna have a great time tearing these apart as well, because of course they have quite a low amount of HP. Yep, continuing the run by. Nice play right there from Modulo. That's a little bit of good old-fashioned commander control that we just don't see very often. Going for the capture command. Nice. Another one of those things that we don't see all too often, but the capture command is great. Of course, it means that you can have your enemy's units and eat them too. The appropriate response right here for the red commander is, of course, just to go ahead and go for a self-destruct. Scuttle the mexes so that the opponent can't have them, and the LLT coming up here is going to block the LLT in red. Uh-oh. D-gun connects. Capture command. Oh, what a treat watching a commander walk around and capture all these things. There we go. Modulo says, don't mind if I do. I think I'll just take this constructor for myself and use it to go build a geothermal or some frontline. Well, you know what? It was actually a really nice advantage right here for the red commander having these mexes up and running. The extra 6 metal per second really did mean the world. Now it means that Modulo just has a wonderful front line. We have all this static defense that's been built, and we're going to continue building. It's time for the first counterattack of the game. Gigantic push here from Rexel. Moving forward on the southern side. The blades are there for balance reasons. Oh, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense now. Yeah, that's what the blades are for. It's a gyroscopic effect to keep the solar panel from falling over. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That blade spinning at less than one revolution per minute. Keeping it nice and steady. Nice plays across the map right here. We do have a whole bunch of grunts and incisors moving forward. Looks like that explosion once more has chipped off the armor plating right here from these grunts and incisors, but not the end of the world, right? Very, very nice damage regardless, and it looks like these units will get out as well. Reinforcement, incisors, grunts, and everything else are pushing forward here as well, and it does look like, I mean, this is a very exposed base, all things considered. The only thing threatening back this red army is a counterattack here, and Modulo does have enough army to do it, but effectively, I think we could go for a base trade, yeah. We're just gonna jump it. Yeah, the red commander pulling the trigger right here. I'm not sure exactly if it was efficient. I want to say no, but there's so many units on the field right now that it doesn't really matter. Resbots resurrecting everything as well. Sort of an interesting strategy we're seeing here. What about baking advice? Well, the thing about baking is it's a very specific art. It's a very precise thing, and if you're not interested in precision, then you're probably not interested in baking. The issue with baking is that it yields some of the most delicious treats, but it requires some of the most most amount of patience out of basically any form of cooking that there is. So the issue there, of course, is that if you're the sort of impulsive soul that can't help yourself around sweet treat, and maybe the kind of impulsive soul that says, I'm gonna learn baking because I want to learn how to make sweet treat. You're also probably the impulsive soul that will have a hard time baking because it's so precise and so demanding of accuracy and consistency. But hey, that's just my experience. And I'm a terrible, terrible baker. Terrible baker. Right cannon finding some value right there. There we go. Nicely done. Blasts apart some of those units, but definitely doesn't do enough. Grunts and incisors beset upon the base, and just like that, overwhelm the production bases here for the blue commander. Modulo throws in the towel right here, calls GG. Commander goes up in smoke, and it's going to be Raxel who takes the victory in this second game. Nicely done for our red commander. The blue commander holding on there for quite some time, but lost it for a second. It was a very close game, but then lost it as the Resbots managed to pick up those tanks and put them back on the field, and Raxel never slowed down after that. Just kept on increasing production, and the gap grew and grew and grew until eventually it meant that he could have two armies in two places, one to kill the base and one to contest the run-by, and that sealed the deal. Ending this game of Beyond Our Reason in the T1 era. Not bad. All the other Fight Nights are also... Wow, are we already done with all the other games, or are they just intermissions or something? Nope, looks like 2-0s all over the place. Some very quick games today. These 1v1s not lasting very long. Dutch SMP. Oh, yeah, Modulo and Rexel going one apiece right here. Scores just updated. Sorry, I can show you the scoreboard. Allow me to make a beautiful transition towards the scoreboard. Ah. We can go back to the ranking, by the way. There we go. Dutch SMP and Ghoul 442 are the last two that we're waiting on to update their scores. We will check exactly how that's going. Looks like, oh, their match is still in progress. Okay. Never mind, ladies and gentlemen. We still have a game to watch. Jumping the gun right here. I figured all of them had been completed, but not at all. You mean to say it doesn't cost energy to gain energy? Well, I imagine there's some star somewhere producing the energy that these commanders are using. If you kept up the pressure from the start, I think I would lose, which sounds to me like Ghoul 442 managed to take the victory. This ought to be a very fun match. Dutch SMP clocking in at 13 open skill versus Ghoul 442 clocking in at 17. Two very fresh players, both with similar chevron counts. I believe, what is that, the 10 to 25 hours chevron or something? Two very brand new commanders going off against each other 1v1. Should be awesome to see. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Spawning on the southern side, spawning as an Armada commander with a bag full of gifts and a big old Santa hat on his head. It's the Armada commander that goes by the name of Ghoul 442. Spawning on the northern side here, representing the Cortex faction, is a red-nosed reindeer. It's going to be Dutch SNP. Survival Minecraft player? Something like that? SNP. Not sure what that stands for. Now, interestingly, both of these commanders are relatively new, which means that we may or may not see new strategies. I'm completely unaware of how familiar these commanders are with the sort of metas, so to speak. But oftentimes, here's the thing about metas. They're only defined by the people who use them, right? And typically, the meta is built up around units or structures or strategies that are particularly good. But oftentimes, those are also strategies that are fairly complex. So you get into these situations where, for instance, a new player might not be technically capable of reproducing one of those strategies, and so instead just decides to break the mold. But in doing so, actually ends up finding a way better solution, a way more cost-effective or APM efficient solution to whatever the meta is. And we call that around here innovation. Yeah. Welcome to the Brightworks. Tech's out on the map already, and we are going to try and do a little bit of scouting with them. Looks like they're going to be headed up to the north and around to the right-hand side, to the east. Incisors, meanwhile, rolling out of the lab right here for the blue commander. So Dutch SMP definitely at least watching a 1v1 game at this point, familiar with how powerful incisors are. Early game aggression is the name of the game. So long as you keep aggression high and you can manage to continue attacking your opponent, you're going to be in a pretty good way. LLT coming up right here to protect the wind turbines. 25 seconds left on that bad boy, though. Apparently it's going to be abandoned. Okay. Dutch SMP in desperate need of some metal. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. Thought Commander was walking away to go build metal extractors. No, Commander's going to build the LLT over here, and I think it's well worth it. Yeah, this LLT in the base is going to be quite nice for providing a little bit of sturdiness, and I think a lot of vehicle players tend to go for this. Meanwhile, Ghoul is just expanding. And I like it. These metal extractors coming up obviously benefit the Red Commander immensely. The more of these mechs that you can get up and running, the better off you're going to be. Whole bunch of pawns coming up here as well is obviously a huge benefit. Means that you're going to have enough army to actually punch through all this. The interaction between pawns and incisors is less certain than pawns and, or incisors and grunts, rather. Part of me wants to say that it's a, it's reasonable to assume that there's a better odds that pawns can contest the incisor just by virtue of having their little plasma guns. Means that they're going to be able to surround quite a bit better and do a little bit more damage. It's kind of how pawns work in general. But it comes down to the micro in a lot of ways. Really comes down to the micro. So let's see it. Yeah. Pawns doing a great job against these incisor. Yeah, you know what? What a phenomenal trade right there. Resbot moves in immediately to start resurrecting some of these tanks and pick them back up and put them back in the composition. Nicely done right here from the Red Commander. Spending that energy resurrecting units is obviously a lot more efficient as well than spending it on building more units. You pay quite a bit less. That's exactly the kind of trade that we're hoping for. Love the ticks parked in the backline, by the way. Love that, yeah, Dutch SMP now has these constructors that are vulnerable because these ticks are in the backline just waiting for a constructor to move out and go around. One of the things that I think Dutch has missed here is moving forward with the commander. Typically the way that this works as a vehicles player is you move forward with the commander to get a really aggressive, greedy early start on these metal extractors, and you leave a constructor behind at home in order to actually pump out more constructors, more units, all that sort of stuff. Because these units cost so much metal, it ends up meaning that you can spend your metal a lot easier. Oh, Ghoul very close to taking on the metal extractor with a nice little bit of micro right there, but didn't manage to get it in the end. Pawns reacting a little bit slowly right here. I don't think we have, oh, we do have a radar tower. Yeah. Still not the end of the world though, and my goodness, these pawns are good. Yeah, I can't be mad about the way that this fight is going at all. Pawns seem to be doing a wonderful job. Incisor also flashing at each other. Dutch SMP at this point greatly out-expanded. There's those Resbots picking things up, by the way. Big old E-stall right now for the Red Commander. Definitely worth considering putting down some more wind turbines. Another one of those things the Commander is really good at is just building those early eco structures. So far, though, a low eco game. Despite the loads of metal that is out on the map, this is a relatively low eco game. We do have two big armies headed out and about, though. We have the Pawn and Incisor army moving forward right here. Dutch SMP moving into position to try and D-gun, but again, very little energy production at the moment. Means that that commander can't really afford those D-guns. Can afford 2 or maybe 3 of those D-guns before running out of energy. Meanwhile, Incisor's punching right on through. Uh-oh. Ghoul in the main base could get a killer D-gun right here. Oh. Yep. No energy. Oh, that hurts. No energy for the D-gun means the commander has to do this the long way. Not necessarily the end of the world, but it does hurt a little bit. Resbot. Oh. Citizen's arrest. That's what we call it when a Resbot, yeah, takes down a unit. A Resbot or a construction tower or a constructor or any of it. When they take down a tower or a unit by just deconstructing it. Barcast came up with that one. Credit where credit is due, and it is hilarious. Citizens arrest. Do not resist. I love it. Ghoul in desperate need of some energy production here. I think the plan is to use one of these constructors in the backline to build energy once they're done with whatever static defenses and whatever else is up and running. But yeah, there you go. You can see Ghoul spending that metal now immediately on solar panels. And this is what I was talking about, right? When you need to put that metal out in the field, that's one of the use cases that makes or that is great for those solar panels. But you have to remember that that metal is on the field, and you have to eat it up and use it for something else eventually. Ghoul here actually getting very close to overflowing the overflowing the metal, well, and almost the energy here too. Could definitely start up more expensive energy production, or unit production too. It's all a matter of energy production though, and you can see the Red Commander has just started overflowing metal, as there's just not really enough energy production up and running. This is where you really start spamming out those solar panels, just to make sure that you're constantly using them. There we go, yeah, more and more of those coming up and online right here. No better for Dutch S&P, who is also critically E-stalled right now, trying to build wind turbines, but there's not enough energy from the wind turbines to build wind turbines. Solar panels is going to work quite a bit better. Oftentimes you want to mix, right? You want some sort of a balance between solar panels and wind turbines in order to have some amount of stable economy, but also a little bit of a economy that's fluctuative and efficient. Constructors in the backline here should be building solar panels or wind turbines. Just taking them, have them build big advanced solar panel arrays, or have them build big wind turbine arrays, just like this. Fill up the map with wind turbines. You may as well. For what they cost in metal, they will pay you back 10 times in energy. There we go. We do have a single constructor working on wind turbines. I just don't think it's quite enough. Yeah, Ghoul has so much metal in the bank to spend. I think it probably makes a little bit more sense to start spamming out solar panels here. Across the board, an advantage right now for the Red Commander, but if we look at the statistics, ugh, nearly 600 metal excess at this point. Definitely not ideal. But these fights are so efficient. Just snowballing these fights way out of control means that, yeah, this is looking quite nice. And as that wind speed does pick up, suddenly this doesn't become such an issue. More and more of those solar panels going down right now, though. Constructor moving forward to grab these mexes wherever possible. Not bad. The army now moving out. 50% of 0 is 0, that's true. Resurrect is 50% of the energy cost of the original unit, which for a solar panel is 0. I see where we got it from. I see what the connection is now. I was a little bit curious why we were talking about dividing by 0. It all makes sense now. Idle constructor should always be put to work. This guy should be building some solar panels or something. All that said and done, the Blue Commander need only produce more units, and we're going to be in a good way. There we go. Going to start up an air lab. Oh, but it won't even matter. The Blue Commander realizes his position with units encroaching from all sides. Says, I should have went pots. GG. Ah, GG. He cries out Ghoul 442. A momentary lapse in victory right there for the Red Commander, but overwhelmingly taking the cake, just continuing to scale up the economy, scale out the energy, and eventually producing units and putting them on the field. If we take a look at the metal excess bar, though, ooh, that is a nasty excess bar. You really don't ever want this bar to be anywhere higher than 0. Lot of excess metal right there. There's a couple of things you can do to negate this. Of course, you can build a metal storage just so that you can hold on to the metal. You can always build solar panels to help put that metal in the field. Solar panels, like I was saying, they're a gigantic waste of metal, but sometimes you need to waste that metal. And it's not like the metal is gone, right? Like it still is out of the map and it goes to your bank. It's just a temporary solution, right? It's a band-aid on a bleeding wound. But it can help you get up and running to, for instance, advanced solar panels, which cost quite a bit more metal, but also a little bit more energy. A couple thousand energy, I believe. Means that once you get to that point, you're going to be in a pretty good way as far as actual energy production goes. But we are ready, ladies and gentlemen, for round number 3. Round number 2 has concluded. We'll pop on over to the leaderboards here. Give me 1 second to transition that scene. There we go. Beautiful. And we'll take a look through the results. So, Modulo and Raxel, 1 game apiece. Neb versus User 001JA, 2-0 in favor of User. Duchess and P versus Ghoul 442. It's going to be 2 points in favor of Ghoul. And Domino versus Ashgren. Domino takes it 2-0 as well. Nicely done. Commanders vying for control over this first place prize. They're fighting for it. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, okay. Sorry. For some reason, I thought there was more players. I thought there was 10 players for some reason this morning. I can't remember exactly why. I guess I must be going crazy. Brightworks is going crazy. But it does mean we are ready. One of those situations where, at the end of the day, setting up the games, getting it all coordinated, it's a huge help. As it looks like a whole bunch of these lobbies are coming up to speed. The Fight Night lobbies. Populated by a whole host of various talent. Talent from across the board, too. Talent from 8v8, talent from 1v1, talent from all over the place. That's some new music. You guys hear that? There's some new music in here. Interesting. Looks like Domino and Modulo are getting ready here. And I think we're going to take a look. I think we're going to take a little look-see. Yeah, Domino versus Modulo should be a pretty good one. That's number 2 versus number 4 as far as the ranking is concerned today. Me and my RC Cola. That's my little jingle. Trying to channel the essence of the Call of Duty Black Ops perk machines. And the yeah, you know, the little like the one I always remember is for Quick Revive, where it's just like, I need a little revive. Do 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 do. They all had a different one though. There was like a little jingle for all the different machines, but I can't remember what the other ones were. That one was the catchiest for sure. Trying to think, trying to remember what the other ones were. I know Juggernog had one. I know double shot Sarsaparilla or whatever it was had one. Did PhD Flopper have one? I don't know. Ban Coast to Coast? No. How are you gonna ban Coast to Coast? The Navy map. I actually didn't even know Coast to Coast was in this map pool. Let's go for, yeah, map pool here. Oh, it's tiny Coast to Coast. It's not full size Coast to Coast. I was gonna say that'd be awesome to watch a full size Coast to Coast game. That'd be infuriating. Both commanders, they don't even see each other for the first 10 minutes of the game. That's pretty funny. Looks like we've got quite an interesting pool. We've got shallow straits in the pool today as well. Always a very complicated map. Neb and Dutch S&P are already up and running. Looks like they've started a game right here. I want to watch this one though. I really do. Gonna be in Canis next. What more could you hope for? Let's see what the first pick will be. I believe it's, let's see, it's a best of 2, so I believe you ban, what would it be? I'm trying to think. Would I end that prediction, please? Oh, is there a prediction going on? I don't know if I can, actually. I don't know how. I could change the... Oh, who wins? Oh, there we go. Is it not closed? How do I close it? Waiting for the result. Oh, weird. I can't close it. Somebody close that result. While we're waiting here, I'll try and figure out how this works. May as well. Somebody might as well have. Yeah, for whatever reason, I can't actually end the prediction. Weird. Very weird. What's the speaker's gamer tag? Brightworks. The world famous Brightworks. Technically true. Technically true. Because Bar is such a global game, I feel like I feel like that's not even fair. I feel like that's not even unfair to say. The world famous. Oh my gosh, you guys crack me up. That's hilarious. The world famous Brightworks. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, my name is the Brightworks. I commentate matches. I have a YouTube channel by the same name. More than welcome to look me up. I think, in fact, if you type !caster, I think it's one of the commands that you can pull up that will link to, I don't know, something. It'll link to something with my name on it. You're more than welcome to go check that out if you'd like. I cast any of these games whenever I'm asked to. Always a treat, and I'm always thrilled to. For the record, for the public record, I love doing this. So whenever I get an invite and whenever I don't have a horrible throat sickness, I'm more than happy to. Yeah, that was the reason I missed the last one, actually, is because my throat was so bad, and I was like, maybe people don't want to hear me come on and talk like Batman for a couple of hours. Oh, hello everyone, welcome for showing up for Beyond Our Reason Fight Night. I figured maybe you guys would appreciate me sitting that one out, just letting Shadow or one of the other talented commentators take over and run the show for a little while. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, commanders come one and come all. Today's going to be a good match. 52 open skill blue commander with a silver tail that goes, of course, on this side, by the name of Modulo here. Clocking in. My good. Oh wait, what just happened? Uh-oh. Oh, we had a DC.
Battle paused.
We had a DC. That is arguably a reset. The GOAT himself. Yeah, that'll be up to Modulo if he comes back, whether he wants to reset or not. It was like 4 seconds or so of disconnectedness. I think usually in the context of a 1v1, it's kind of up to the two players, right? Whenever Modulo comes back. Just goes to show, even the pros have to deal with games crashing. I wonder if this ever happens in Premier tournaments. Like, I'm certain it must, right? There's no way it hasn't. There's no way there's never been, like, a StarCraft or, you know, some other kind of tournament that, yeah, some other kind of tournament that didn't end up being, Oh, there we go. Look at that. I just unlocked a new emote. I just unlocked a new emote. It's a little heart.
Battle
Gonna be
ended.
a restart. That's fair. That's fair. Oh yeah, I was talking about a Premier like tournament restart. Yeah, there's no way like a StarCraft 2 tournament or something like that hasn't been like not a whole tournament, but like a game. One of the matches hasn't been reset because you know a player their game crashed or something like that. There's just no way. Man, how frustrating though. Could you imagine? Could you imagine you were like, I mean, typically I think if they were like halfway through a game or more and it was like an obvious lead one way or another, I believe you would basically just be able to, ooh, fancy. Yeah, I know. You should stream more. You have the radio voice. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sophie is beyond reason. Not beyond all reason, but just beyond reason. The question I have for you, Sophie, is did you come up with your name after playing Beyond All Reason, or has that been your username and you were destined to play Beyond All Reason? What's the story there, right? GLHF as the match gets underway. Yeah, it's so frustrating, right? I think in those big tournaments they end up I'm gonna finish this thought, God help me. I think these I think usually how this goes is like if a commander is or if a player rather has like a distinct advantage, right? Like they have a bigger income or bigger army, or like just kind of like, you know, essentially, and Beyond a Reason would be these bars over on the right hand side. I don't know how you'd calibrate it or calculate it for like StarCraft or whatever, but for instance, if it was bar and like every one of these bars on the top screen was the stats bars were like all one color or the other, like the red, they were all red or they were all blue. I feel like probably if you were, you know, 20 minutes into a game and they were all in favor of one color, the game would probably just concede to the player with the advantage, right? Don't know how that goes in other scenes specifically. Like I have not, you know, as far as I've been commentating, I have not been invited to commentate any any WWE matches or anything. Welcome back, brother. Daily uploads be a part of my daily routine at this point. Well, I'm glad you appreciate them. Yeah, the desync issues I believe have been resolved. As I understand it, that was like just a very specific bug that was introduced and it got rolled back and worked out. I don't believe that's still an issue. I think this is just good old-fashioned regular bar jank. Oh, there we go. Looks like that poll got closed eventually. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry to Shadow. I guess we were trying to figure out how to close that. I don't know what's going on with this thing. It's I don't know. It's giving me trouble. It's giving me trouble. New one will be started up though. 3 minutes ago. I always forget about that. I suppose there might still be like barely some time right here in order to place your prediction in case you haven't done it yet. It will have been up 3 minutes by now, so get your prediction in quick if you haven't already. And we're gonna jump on in. Usually predictions close pretty quick into the match. Like you kind of get some basic info like who's going vehicles, who's going bots, what's the wind speed, what's the solar, how many solars are they going for, like that kind of stuff. And then you place your bet. It's all channel points, by the way, just to be clear. You bet with channel points, which are free, and everyone can use them, and you're more than welcome to. They're you accrue them by just hanging out on the stream for a little while, and then you spend them. You spend them as you get them. Like I, for instance, just unlocked a new emote. Isn't that exciting? Now, Domino, maybe watching that last game, is eager to start energy production, and my goodness, 22 wind speed is actually phenomenal. Might Might be the first case we see a commander going for an energy storage. This definitely justifies it, right? If you could afford to store some of that energy up and use it for later, it makes a lot of sense to. Sort of an interesting system, because obviously as the energy scales upwards, you can afford to spend more of that energy as well. I'm explaining very simple bar concepts, but I hope I hope you guys can appreciate that I'm trying to put value here for everybody. Domino stepping forward. Like to see the red commander moving out on the map right here, using that commander as a launching platform, a stepping stone. And you know what? After watching that last game, part of me understands that the micro on the incisors wasn't perfect on behalf of the Cortex commander, but it did look like those pawns were really putting in work against them. Like, I have to say that the pawns seemed like they did a really good job. The other thing is Centurions, I think, might work really nicely as well. Modulo guarding the metal extractors over here on the northern side, just standing guard, ready as always in order to deflect this attack whenever possible. Nice bit of aggression, though. Yeah, nicely done. Both mexes go down to the incisors as they sweep through, and just go ahead and get on out of there. I think that's nicely done. Yeah, Modulo going to be forced to rebuild those. Not the end of the world, of course, but the blue commander is... Oh, is he desynced?
Battle
Yeah, he's
paused.
totally desynced. Oh, he's completely desynced. Womp, 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 womp. Brightworks Pro Wrestling when? Pin that Cortex commander, brother. Modulo has disconnected from the game once again, showing a severe lack of connection. Paused at 109 seconds and not increasing whatsoever. I thought it was a bit strange that these units were going unmicroed for so long. I believe the blue commander has, I believe the blue commander has been AFK for a while. Brightworks TV made only for the game and streamed a bit for fun a while ago. Yeah. That makes sense. I was gonna say, that'd be a pretty hilarious coincidence, right? Sophia's Beyond Reason is playing Beyond All Reason. That would be nuts. That would be beyond all reason if I do say so myself. That's great, though. From one streamer to another, I tip my hat to you. Good old Rango reference. Learned the other day that a close acquaintance of mine, somebody I considered a friend, doesn't really like that movie. They thought that movie was kind of dumb. So we're not friends anymore, but that's okay. Better not to have friends than friends with bad taste. As long as you're not Dutch? What does that mean? What does that mean, Reed Sweet? Or not be bringing toxicity into this. Just checking on the YouTube chat. How are they doing? Worldly famous. How's the closed captioning, by the way? Are you guys able to actually see the CCs? How's that looking for you guys? I believe this match is going to be conceded to Domino, and I think I'm going to leave and go watch another one. I know that sort of sucks, but I don't want to sit here watching a game that isn't being played. I'd rather go watch a game that is being played. Oh, you're saying, oh, for the gambling. They banned free gambling also? Wow. Oh, that sucks. That's actually a tragedy. Dang.
Battle started.
They really have a big prejudice against gambling, I suppose. I mean, how am I going to say that's a bad thing? That's like, it's like banning cigarettes or something. It's like, yeah, that sucks you can't burn your lungs off, but, also not really. Like, grand scheme of things, not really. I don't know. That's too hard for me, man. I just play Beyond All Reason. Rexel versus User001. Sorry for the impromptu switcheroony. Big fat shout out to all the admins in the chat that are squealing and yelling and punching the air about me changing things up every 5 seconds and them having to restart the votes and manage everything in the background. It happens to the best of us. And I appreciate each and every one of you very, very dearly. Armada Commander here, user 001, going to be going for a good old-fashioned bot lab. Going to be building a constructor, of course, and sending it backwards to go reclaim all those metal extractors, building a whole big old economy, trying to get as much of that metal flowing into and out of the lab as possible in the form of raw metal to unit production. Armada really does have a lot of tools that Cortex just doesn't in the T1 bot lab, don't they? They have the Centurion anti-swarm bot and then also the Tick, whereas Cortex just has the Grunt, the Grave Robber, the Construction Bot, the Aggravator, and the Thug. And the Trasher. One of those weird, like, non-diametric unit interactions. Most of the units in this game are named sort of similarly, right? Like the T1, the what is it called? Yeah, the T1 infantry bot is a pawn for Armada and a grunt for Cortex, and like the one I always bring up is the spider bots. So the spider bot for the Armada is the recluse, and the spider bot for Cortex is the termite. So you get what I'm saying, right? They have like sort of this kind of similarity. They sort of echo each other, right? Not the anti-air bot. We've got the crossbow and the trasher. So I don't know why it's not called, like, you know, the crossbow and the lance or something, or the crossbow and the, you know, the slingshot or something like that, you know what I mean? Just, you know, some other name for a projectile weapon. Pardon me while I mute myself. So does Blue just FF if they can't come back? I know I'm answering this question 3 minutes into the future. But I don't think CCs are on Twitch. Oh, bummer. I can see it captioning right here. Oh, is it because it's only going to the YouTube thing, maybe? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, that sucks. It says output to streams only. I wonder if it's only outputting to the YouTube channel. Free gambling is like banning chocolate cigarettes. That's hilarious. Anyway, sorry. I'll stop fiddling with my systems behind the scenes. Boy, that's a sentence, huh? Don't clip that one. Centurions, moving out of the laboratory here. The Red Commander eager to just start producing some of those higher tier bots right here. Sort of the first, like, tech jump that we've seen so far this tournament. The thing about 1v1 is it doesn't really offer you very many opportunities to go for T2. You have to gamble so many resources to go for T2, and oftentimes the issue is that when you go for T2, here's the issue, right? One of the best ways to go for T2, basically the only safe way to go for T2, is when you make such a dramatic push into the enemy's line and kill so many of the enemy's units that you can eat all of those units up and use that in conjunction with your own army in order to build T2. That's kind of how it goes, right? That's the most efficient solution. The issue with that, obviously, being if you've already pushed into your enemy's base, you've pushed so hard that you've killed all their units and you can reclaim 2,000 meta worth of their units, you probably can just go win the game. That's the problem. So you know, pushing in and doing all this stuff is great, but whoa. Yeah, nice defense right there. Nicely done by the blue commander here. Anticipating that a commander is likely to walk up this hillside and try and do some damage, and goes ahead and builds just about 100 LLTs in order to force that commander backwards. Very good to see. A depth charge launcher wouldn't be a bad idea either, just to make sure that the commander is cleared out from that side of the world. But nicely done right there from the blue commander. Definitely showing a little bit of map familiarity there. It's a trick as old as time, just setting up a getting your commander across the water over here, popping up in the enemy's main base, and de-gunning it down. Having the LLTs in position to actually deal with that is always cool to see. Means, of course, that user 001 is going to have to find a much more traditional way to break this defense. Now, one option is, of course, a coastal gauntlet. You can imagine you put a gauntlet right here and it shells away at this base for the rest of the game. That'd be very annoying. However, can you really afford to dump 1,000 metal into a static defense structure in a T1 1v1? I don't think so. For what it's worth, though, the Centurion on the front line are very beefy. They're very beefy boys. And they're more than happy to hold that front line quite nicely as well against big spams of units like, for instance, a whole bunch of grunts. Thug's going to be a little bit harder, but still in a similar vein, going to be quite powerful. Quite easy to bring down, though. The Centurion, the thing about Centurion is they are just the best T1 bot. There's no... They are the best one, and so there's no... If you have enough Centurion, then there's really nothing else to do about it. Banshee coming up here for the Red Commander. My goodness. Banshee are, in many ways, horrible. They're horrible. They're really bad. They don't do very much damage. They're very slow. They cost a lot of money. They're just kind of across the board on every metric, a really, really difficult unit to use. Difficult to find value with, I guess I should say. They're not particularly difficult to use, but they're difficult to find value with. That's in large part just because of the fact that they're a T1 gunship. Like, the T1 gunships are meant to be relatively not unusable, but relatively low power, right? They're meant to be low power. They're meant to do a little bit of damage, not necessarily able to snipe heavier targets, but able definitely to snipe, for instance, softer targets like E-converters and metal extractors and things like that. A little bit more build power coming up here as we go ahead and get ourselves a couple more of these Banshee. I wonder how many we're going for in total. Looks like we're just maxing out on Banshees, spending the entire economic load trying to build as many of these Banshees as possible. We're up to 10 at this point, making 11. Not slowing down anytime soon. So the question I have, of course, is will user 001 be using these Banshee? Look, we're set up a little LLT defensive wall with a bunch of anti-air towers as well. My goodness. The question I have immediately is, are we going to use these Banshees aggressively? Are we going to go try and kill the base? We now have frigates moving in. Yeah, Banshees get out of here. Fighter production starts up immediately after as well. Those frigates are going to start firing away at the lab. Will we have enough reclaim here? Oh, we have enough build power to... Can we sustain it? Oh, wow. Actually, enough build power to sustain this is ridiculous. There we go. Banshees, jumping on top of this base here. Little bit of a lack of focus. I feel like these Banshees should be targeting down individual structures a little bit more. But either way, the energy production has been crippled. Yeah, this is a huge hit. There we go. SAM turret blasted down, of course, by the Banshees means that they will be shot out of the sky. Raxel's main production center blown to smithereens. Frigates, however, also managed to tear down the air lab, so that's quite nice. Now the destroyer going to be shelling away over here, and user 001 is forced to build a vehicle lab. We call that a base trade in the business, as the destroyers, the very expensive destroyers, have managed to punch through the defensive line and have managed to shut down basically all of the economy here. Really the biggest loss, I would say, is probably all this build power that we're going to lose. I hope we would reclaim some of this, at the very least trying to eat up some of these build towers before they get destroyed. User 001 still guiding the Banshees around, looking for an opportunity to get some value here. Yeah. Eventually going to find the last wind turbines here for the Blue Commander as well. Starting up some tidal generators immediately. Oh, 12 tidal speed is brutal. That's horribly, horribly inefficient. Yeah, I think... Is that less than a solar panel? Oh, it is less efficient than a solar panel. Yikes. Costing more than a solar panel and just barely producing the same amount of energy. That is pretty rough. A lot of metal available right here. We don't have any anti-air in this composition either, so these Banshees are actually fully capable of jumping on top of the T1 as well. The boats are really the only anti-air available at this point. User 001 is more than happy to, or should be more than happy to send that commander over to reclaim all this as well. Banshees clumping up. Ooh, anti-air missiles. Hitting all the Banshees simultaneously is rough. Way more value than that boat's really supposed to get. Yeah. The Red Commander now struggling with the energy production. What a wicked back and forth. Destroyers now harassing down all this static defense. And well, why shouldn't they? Shell Shockers out and available now. We are trying to make the best of this situation. Resbot picking up the LLTs over here to try and get those up and running as well. I think probably I would favor the Blue Commander just getting out of the water and building a bunch of wind turbines on land. These tidal generators are so inefficient, it's really not worth continuing to build them. Nicely done by the Red Commander, though. Going for a naval lab and going for a whole bunch of solar panels. Just putting the metal on the field however they can. Wouldn't mind a cloaked radar jammer here, though. Radar jammer able to hide all these structures from the boats that are looking for them. Now this is tricky, because User 001 has been forced into a naval fight as Armada. Any of you out there who have played Navy to even the slightest degree are aware that Armada struggles quite heavily in the water. Almost always Armada will have really big issues fighting against a naval opponent in the water. I'd love to see some static defenses set up. I feel like a couple of statics wouldn't be the end of the world here. Big old mass of frigates available here now for the Red Commander. Reinforcements are not going to come out for quite some time right now for the Blue Commander. Means that these red frigates have a little bit of time right now. All that metal got reclaimed by the Blue Commander, though. Rexel has got to be happy about the way that ended up going. The actual reality of it. Hey, look at that, we're eating up T1 units. I always talk about how valuable this is. Oh, we're gonna overflow a lot of metal, though. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Well, okay, hold on. wait, don't overflow the metal. Oh, no. Oh, yikes. No, that's like 800 metal right down the drain. Oh. Okay, well. In theory, anyway. In theory, it's an awesome move, because, like, you eat up the metal of your T1 units, and then you just use that metal to, yeah, you just go ahead and use that metal to build more units. Yeah, look at this. We're eating up the T1 units here as well. Oh, I love to see it. This is min-maxing right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is real gaming. We've got gamers gaming today. Shell Shockers threatening these boats is also pretty interesting. I had never considered that even as a counter for the boat harassment, but it does make sense, I suppose. And I am to a degree pretty surprised actually that we haven't seen a jammer come up in the main base right here. Build Power still dissecting these units and turning their metal into valuable boats on the high seas. And I think it's about time that User 001 gets across the water and starts to build those metal extractors over here. Obviously easy for us to see in the spectator vision, right? From the spectator's booth, it's very easy and obvious to see these very blatant pathways that are available right here. But when you're actually in the hot seat, when you're actually commanding all this, it'll be very tricky to figure out. E-Converter's not a bad idea either, though, and we do have some submarines coming up, which is always nice. Res subs should be included here as well. Are these destroyers parked here, or are they having trouble getting somewhere? Not entirely sure. Oh, Rexel. Going for a little bit of a transport shenanigan here. Okay. Gonna transport into the red commander's backline. Destroyers trying to fire out at whatever they can reach. Rexel is shown. There we go. Commander drops down. Gonna start blasting these ways. I'd like to see a capture command. Obviously, saves you a little bit of time rebuilding metal and energy as well, but who's really gonna complain? At this point, this is just a nice move. Shutting down some of that eco right here, equalizing the playing field between the red and blue commander a little bit. And if Rexel manages to take these metal extractors, I mean, that's a huge advantage. Suddenly, all these mexes that should be the red commanders, we've basically swapped sides on this map. All of them that should be the red commanders have now switched sides completely and will be the blue commanders. Seaplane gunship's a viable option, I would say. User 001 in a little bit of trouble here. Those thugs do a lot of damage, but you know what? So do destroyers. Yeah, those destroyers have done a great job of blasting these apart. User 001, a little bit scared, certainly. But it's not the end of the world. That's definitely a decent trade right there. And all that metal out on the field, 600 or so metal. Going to be another couple of boats that we can utilize later down the road. Armada boats trying to get a surround right here on a bunch of these frigates. The destroyers firing away wherever they can. And I think ultimately taking the lead here in this engagement. Yep, destroyers going to be firing away at each other at this point. Frigates as well, whittling each other down. Brutal clash back and forth between those two forces. Submarines unable to cross. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, that's an unfortunate waste of metal. Those submarines not able to actually fire away here. They can launch torpedoes, so I wonder if they might be able to fire at these thugs right here. Start, you know, blasting their ankles off. Yeah, it looks like they can, actually. Not bad. Sure. Okay. We'll just use it as a choke point, like a defensive option. Rexel building a couple of units, finding that there's actually no static defense or anything like that holding this island. On the southern side, User 001 needs to get into action, reclaiming and rebuilding all this. Here are the grunts in the back, tearing apart the economy. You can tell these APMs are spread so thinly between these two commanders right now. We hover over one of these right here. One of them. I can't remember exactly which one it is. Somehow or another, we can see their APM value. Let me look at it here. 44 actions per minute versus 45. Pretty much spot on even. Big old pawn run by here, though. My goodness, they're just at each other's throats. The red commander and the blue commander going back and forth with the trades right now. The entire economy for the red commander has been blasted to smithereens. The backline economy has been torn asunder by the red infantry bots, now pulling apart the build power. The laboratory is now without build power. Oh my goodness. Rexel setting up a new infantry post over here on this side. We need static defenses. I think a couple of turrets in order to keep things nice and calm and collected, and from those bots overflowing into the base right here wouldn't be the worst idea. Yeah, the pawns now firing away off the coast, out into the sea, trying to blow up as many of these tidal generators as possible. Sure, why not? Submarines sneaking around over here. What a bizarre match. I appreciate that User 001 is finally grabbing these metal extractors. We do have constructors rolling out of the lab here as well for Rexel. Gonna be rebuilding this island over here. A couple of res bots to get these wind turbines up and running wouldn't be the worst idea either. There we go. Yeah, grunts moving forward. Solar panels powering everything over here. Should they take even a lick of damage, they will suddenly be worth basically very, very, very close to nothing. They close up their shell and stop producing energy, and they can be very difficult to justify after that. Little anti-air boat has been parked offshore here. LOT to blast apart the leftover units. And we've transitioned out of the water. A single res sub to, yeah, well, resurrect in this case any units that they can. User 001 just reclaiming from this wreckage, and I think I like that a little bit better. Are we going to go for T2, or are we going to go for more energy production? I think at this point you might investigate advanced solar panels. Oh. From downtown. Shell Shockers firing danger close in order to kill that thing. Nicely done. Yeah, I feel like advanced solar panels are justified at this point. You've got about 300 energy production. That's really all you need. Building an e-storage and then going for an advanced solar panel makes a lot of sense right now. But my goodness, still very neck and neck. Total energy production is skewed slightly towards the Red Commander because, of course, those wind turbines stayed up and running for so long. But as that starts to become reclaimed for the Blue Empire, suddenly that difference is made up quite nicely. It's a 100% metal bonus right here for the Red Commander, but that's 12 metal per second versus 6 is ridiculously low. It's hilariously low. And Rexel still insists on going for naval units. Interesting. I almost would have expected amphibious units to be a bit more popular here. Construction bots going down, as the pawns also tear apart more and more of the eco over here. Big swarm of units pushing forward into this base and tearing down the last bastion of land-based production for the Blue Commander. A nice swarm of units moving forward right there, and we are forced once more to build those really inefficient tidal generators. Yeah, that sucks. It's a lot of metal basically down the drain. Rexel calls it. GG, and the towel is thrown. User 001 takes it in this ridiculous back and forth game of Beyond All Reason. My goodness, what a match. What a match. Yeah, look at this. Look at this DNA-shaped graph weaving back and forth past each other here. Maybe the weirdest comparison I've ever made, just as a side note. But anyways, yeah, the Blue Commander pulling ahead for a second and then losing it. I believe this was the big naval fight around the 11-minute mark. And then we start to see the Red Commander, user 001, start to take the lead as Rexel falls off. Slowly making their way towards each other, and actually was a pretty even game by the end of it, but at the end of the day, it came down to having more units, and obviously would have been much easier to expand right there for the Red Commander instead of the Blue. Looks like there is another game going on. Domino versus Modulo. Looks like we're 8 minutes into the game. We'll see where that takes us. OMG, it's Bright. Hi, Bright. Hi, Denosukis. How you doing, bud?
Battle started.
I recognize that dinosaur anywhere. Hello, all. Hi, Anan. Ah, yeah, those titles. Those titles were so rough. Oh. It's a pretty good match. Looks like these two commanders are about neck and neck, with Modulo having a slight lead as far as the metal production goes, and also blasting away these units with the LOTs always feels nice. Janus firing away their twin rocket launchers. 2 connections needed in order to blast down a thug, so they'll be forced to recharge their missiles and get back into action later. LLT's here running out of energy, though, so they can't actually fire away consistently. Otherwise, they would have easily killed all these units right here. Yeah. There we go, though. When they connect in a big way, those Janus. I had one person think I was saying Janets one time. Like just the name Janet, I guess. I thought that was pretty hilarious. Love the idea of Janets. Fire the Janets! Just a swarm of ladies named Janet rushing forward at rocket-like speed. Blitz tanks making relatively short work, actually making very long and tedious and arduous and difficult work out of these grunts. 2 of which have managed to make it into the backline and are now causing havoc. The hardest part about dealing with units in the backline is actually dealing with them. Realizing that they're there and losing your entire economy, that's the easy part, but actually cleaning them up after, or before, preferably, is actually the hardest part. There we go. Blitz is finally taking care of those 2 pawns, or 2 grunts rather, in the backline. Solar panels slowly opening up once more as well. No wind speed on this map, so it is all solar panels. Love those Janus missiles, though, man. If there's one thing that Janus lends an army, it's just a brutish force. Suddenly it becomes so expensive to fight on the front lines because those Janus, every time you engage, those Janus chip away at your army, and it's almost impossible to deal with. The only efficient solution I've ever found is using rovers or rascals or ticks or any of those super cheap, super dispensable RC cars to deal with those Janus. We're gonna go for pounders here. I think the right option is probably shell shockers, or aka Wolverines. Oh, Domino in some trouble. 24% on the red commander here. The pounder doing a great job of impulsing all these tanks, though. Yeah, the Janus, they rock. Yeah, every time that they fire... Oh, nice friendly fire damage right there. Every time that they fire, it feels like they get some ridiculous value. Yeah, red commander uncloaked for just a second. Janus missiles connect, and boom goes the red commander. Modulo sniping the game. Unluck, cries out Domino. GG, cries out
Battle
Modulo.
ended.
Nicely done right there by the blue commander. It's good old-fashioned Armada tech. You like it? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I can't complain. As an Armada enjoyer, I cannot complain. I love a good old-fashioned Janus push. Sort of relies entirely on the scaling, right? So as the Janus goes up and running. It starts to scale up really, really easily, really nicely. Only takes about 2 of them really to snowball, but then after that, it's like, it just gets worse and worse from there. Whew. Good game of bar. Some great games of bar, actually. Damn it, Janet. We've all had that moment when that Janet missile connects. Looks like, oh, okay, yeah. Looks like Shashgrin has left the tournament. In the lead, Shashgrin left the tournament. Number 1. I mean, suddenly we're going to be going to a round 4 and 5. Interesting. Horde of Janet Jacksons. Let's see here. Oh. Looks like somebody commandeered one of the lobbies. Turned it into their own lobby. Match going on right now? What am I looking at right here? What am I looking at right here? Yeah, looks like we're getting ready. Looks like we're getting ready for round 4 here. Hold on. Stand by. Let me show you. Let me break it down for you, Mark. Is closed captioning still working, by the way? Uh-oh. Did I break it? Womp, 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 womp. I tried so hard. And in the end, it didn't even matter. There we are. Okay, sorry. I'm getting sidetracked by side quests. Round 4. Looks like we're gonna only have three lobbies going at the same time, but we will have a round 5 instead. More bar for me. Happy, happy, happy. So Modulo, user 001, Neb and Ghoul, and then Raxel and Domino. Should be some pretty fun matches. Modulo and user 001. I'm not sure exactly what happened. There was some sort of this Domino versus Modulo match. There was some disconnecting and some other stuff. Shashgrin apparently has left the tournament or something. I'm not sure exactly. Has had to go. Let me see if I can find an update about it. Not sure. Let me figure it out. Team Nut. Replay. No. Okay, I don't see it. Usually I get news about it if there's news about it. Commanders are figuring it out as we speak. as we very speak. Is there a 3-minute delay here? Yes. You'll hear my response in 3 minutes, but yes. Yeah, it's a 3-minute delay, so usually the way this goes, we're still looking for an elegant solution to this. But the way it goes is basically for... There's 2 parts to a Saturday stream. At least with me, if you're ever enjoying my company, there's 2 parts to this. So there's usually a tournament or some sort of event going on Saturdays. When that happens, I will be here in the hot seat, happy to commentate it. And then afterwards, usually from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock, PDT, so you can convert that to whatever time, you know, your local time. Usually those, usually for those, that 4-hour segment, we do a bunch of like after party stuff. So we'll go play around with a bunch of funky settings. We'll go look at a bunch of, you know, cool stuff. Sometimes we play other games too, but usually it's, usually we do a bunch of funky Beyond All Reason games, community games, right? So if you'd like to join in on that, that's usually how this goes. But the way it works is there's an intermission. So we'll have this stream. Then it'll stop, you know, as soon as the tournament's over, this stream will stop and it'll start back up again at 12. Pardon me. Excuse me. And then we go ahead and go from there. So that's kind of the way that it's been working. And the reason for that intermission is, of course, I want to get rid of that delay. I don't like playing with that delay. I don't like streaming with that delay. Yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me. Let's see. Oh, man. Sartalina or Sartagetta? I'm gonna go watch the other one. Wait, no, whoops, not that one. This one. There we go. There we go. That's the right button. Brightworks, hitting the buttons all the time. If there's a button, I'm gonna press it. I'm gonna press it. Don't you worry. You don't gotta worry. If there's a big red button and I'm standing right in front of it, I'll record it for you guys. But yeah, I'm pressing that button. I'm gonna like blow up half of the eastern seaboard, but pretty funny, I think. No, don't press that button. That's the end it all button. But I thought it was the coffee button. Better test it. No. One of the issues with designing really beautiful buttons, like every government facility does, is that it makes them so tempting to push. It's like fire alarms. How many of you have pulled a fire alarm before? So satisfying. It breaks the little thing, and it's like this beautiful little snap. Oh, guess we are not playing Sartagetta. Not the end of the world. It's all good. It's all chill. Sertalina. Pardon me, muting myself in and out of sound range so that I can, well, that wasn't very good. I thought that might have a more satisfying opening sound. So that you don't have to hear me hacking up a lung as I crack open a nice, cold, refreshing, unsweetened, pure leaf, no sugar, real brewed tea. Again, Pure Leaf, if you're out there and you'd like to be in here, shoot me a message. Shoot me a Discord message. You know how jarring it would be to get a Discord message from, like, Coca-Cola Incorporated or PepsiCo Incorporated? That'd be hilarious. That'd be genuinely hilarious. I would absolutely take a picture and post that in the Discord, because that would be hilarious to see. PepsiCo has reached out to you via Discord. Like they have, like, an official Pepsi emblem and everything, too. Surely that exists. Like, surely somebody at Pepsi has thought, like, oh, maybe we should do some, like, Discord promotion or something, and they went and made a Discord account for their company. Does that exist? Is there, like, Discord professional accounts or something? Because, you know, there's the whole, like, There's the whole Microsoft suite and everything, but I don't know if I don't know if Discord has anything like that. Brightworks face reveal when? What, you want my mug blocking out some part of the screen? Thought you were interested in the bar, man. What's up with that? We'll do a face reveal same day as the hot tub stream. It'll be epic. Big old community event. We'll do a hot tub stream, but it'll be where the chat can control the temperature. You can donate, 100 bits or whatever to increase or decrease the temperature. How long does this tournament go approximately? Well, we're in round 4, and this was supposed to be the last round, but because we had a player drop, it actually means we'll have to go for round 5 as well to determine a true winner. Because it's a Swiss. Wow, excuse me. Taking a step back here, because it is a Swiss-style tournament. It means that it's basically a point system. So as you win games or tie games or lose games, you gain points. And well, you don't gain points for losing, but I think you gain points for tying and winning games. Basically the way that it works is that after a certain number of rounds, there will be a definitive winner, a definitive first, second, third place sort of thing. And then once that happens, then you have one. Then that person becomes the MVP. All that said and done, usually these tournaments, the 1v1 tournaments, are a little bit faster, a little bit easier to organize these players into playing ranks and just have them start their matches on their own pretty quickly, pretty easily. For 3v3, 5v5, 6v6 tournaments, those can go on quite a bit longer, but the 1v1 tournaments usually wrap up pretty quickly, especially considering we only had 8 players today. Means a bracket of 4 matches. 4 best of 2 matches. Means yeah, we're basically getting to the end of it now. Usually it works out pretty well that this ends around 11, 11:30, 12, something like that. I'm giving you all these times relative to PDT. You can convert them in your head or in a calculator or whatever, if you, as you wish. But just imagine, right, like your local time. This tournament starts at 8 a.m. This is my subjective reality, but it starts at 8 a.m. for me, and then it goes for 9, 10, 11, 12, basically 4 hours. That was a really long-winded way of answering your question. Well, meanwhile, we watched this rascal absolutely decimate the economy right here of Domino. Actually, more than that. I think that was, 2 out of 4 mexes, so that's obliterate, I would say. Yeah, that's actually a more reasonable word choice there. Decimate is to destroy by 10, a factor of 10. That was horrible. Losing those metal extractors really sucks. Especially considering we're vehicles, so we have to completely rebuild them. We have the constructor in place to rebuild them too. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world, right? Like, we can rebuild, but that just is like it's a moral, not a moral, a morale hit, if anything, to Domino here, who is now like, okay. Now, I have to tighten up the play a little bit, just make sure that doesn't happen anymore. Domino definitely feeling like they are on the back foot after that. The reality of the situation, though, is that Rexel actually has been a little bit slower on the expanse here, so is falling behind as far as the eco is concerned. Energy production is in favor of the blue commander, but the metal production for the longest while was in favor of the red. That has changed just now as well, flickering back and forth here by so and so much percent, but as the red commander expands here, managing to maintain some sort of an advantage. Still, the energy production is in the lead right now for Rexel, though. And it's important to remember that the energy is really how you make the units. The metal is important, but you need the energy as well. It's all about finding that perfect work-life balance, energy-life balance. Another rascal sneaking through. Oh my goodness. Yeah, these have managed to do so much damage. Oh, Domino noticed before Rexel did that this rascal was actually hanging out over here. Oh, a little bit of an APM stall right there on the blue unit is unfortunate. Means that it won't actually be able to kill. I believe it probably could have killed both of these units. The radar tower and the metal extractor here, both very soft targets. Not going to be the case in today's match, though, as Domino moves forward, building a couple of these LLTs, just trying to make it a little bit harder for enemy units to really engage right here. Incisors treading across the battlefield, rolling out as they often do, looking for that opportunity that they need to engage each other. One of the benefits of having a panic button, an emergency, like I call it my panic button. It's whenever I cough or sneeze or I have to yell, scream in pain. I have this button on my desk I can push that mutes the microphone, which is phenomenal. Stole that idea directly from the NBA, by the way. And it works out great. In every circumstance where I suddenly have to make a loud, sharp noise that I don't want to necessarily blow your guys' eardrums out with, it works awesome. It's good stuff. Why no 8v8 tournaments? You know, that's not like there's no reason, I don't think. It's not like I think the biggest reason is it's just a logistical nightmare. Having all those players organized into teams and having them ready to go. You know, you can imagine as you add players per team, it also adds complexity, right? It adds, you know, one more player, and then another player, and then another, and that just keeps spiraling out of control. So that is to say that there is not a reason why you couldn't do an 8v8 tournament. It would just be difficult to host, and I think nobody is necessarily willing to at the moment. It could be you though, Dinosuchus. Make the 8v8 professional league, and you'll be ripe and in charge. Most of these leagues, the Fight Club, the Barcasts, oh gosh, what is it called? Barcast has one as well for the pro leagues. He made a whole tournament thing. Wow, I am blundering on the name right now. Hold on, the Pro League, Bar Pro League. Yeah, it's like it's such a like perfectly named thing that I forgot what it was called. Right. Fight Night started out as basically a casual sort of a tournament. It just kind of became like a little bit more competitive than that. Still is a casual tournament, by the way. Anybody is more than welcome to join. I just want to emphasize that quickly here. But you know, it's just better and better players took notice of it and realized, hey, this is actually a good opportunity to play some good games against some talented people, and realized, hey, well, maybe it's worth competing, right? Sometimes there's surprises too. Sometimes you win a little hat. Sometimes you win a little trophy. So it is worth it. I love that these tanks are getting value here. The medium tanks are getting so much value against all these clumped up incisors. The AoE effect on the projectile from the medium tank is not gigantic, but it is big enough to do damage to a bunch of these that are clumped up together. Yeah, this is a great fight. Suddenly those light tanks are up against their older brothers, the brutes, and there is not a lot that they can do to really contest against them. The brute has so much HP, quite a lot of firepower. Does a decent amount of damage, I would say. There's plans for a 6v6 All That Glitters tournament, but nothing for an 8v8 as of yet. Ooh, intriguing. An All That Glitters tournament. That's gonna be pretty insane. Everybody already knows how to play All That Glitters, so a tournament on that is going to be ridiculous. Can't help but notice the Domino is leaking metal right now. Yeah, accessing about 200 and close to 300 metal, and rising. Needs to put that metal out on the field. We're starting to produce units. We're starting to produce more energy. It's these wind turbines need to come up to speed here. Building a whole bunch more build power in base, but I think it's just more wind turbines is necessary. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Blue Commander has scaled the energy economy quite nicely here. You can see 500 energy per second is looking lovely. Not a ton of wind turbines, but enough to keep things nice and running. And really, I think it's just a matter of fact that they've actually got basically the same energy production. I guess the Blue Commander was just managing to spend it a little bit more casually here. Rolling those tanks out a little bit slower means that there's less of an E-stall. Solar panels going down right here for Domino. Meanwhile, Riot Tanks shutting down a whole bunch of Incisor over here. Nice stuff. Yeah, those Incisor really don't stand much of a chance against those Riot Tanks, the Pounders. They do so much impulse that it's really impossible to actually push forward past them. 8v8 best communism battle for Fight Night 8v8. Yeah, that's kind of how it goes, right? It's the thing about 8v8. This is a truth that is uncomfortable to bear, but I'll share it with all of you. You know, maybe you're old enough. we've all been playing bar long enough. Maybe it's time that I share this with you. Beyond All Reason is a teamwork game. I know. I'm sorry. I didn't want to be the one that broke the news to you. I really didn't. The thing is that the 8v8 game mode is actually all about teamwork. And you know, I know that's kind of uncomfortable to hear because most people prefer to play that game as 8 individual 1v1s, and then you just kind of blame the air player if you lose, or you blame yourself if you win. The thing is, though, that actually, in all reality, what it actually is 8 players playing against 8 players, or you know, one team playing against another. And what I mean to say by all that is, of course, you know, facetiousness aside, the benefits you get of having a coordinated 8-player team are gigantic. Like, you can pull off ridiculous maneuvers just by having 8 players that are coordinated. And the meta of the current 8v8 like casual game experience, right? Like, if you just go join a lobby and play some 8v8, the metas revolve around strategies that don't necessarily require coherent coordination. So all of that is to say that there's a very real possibility that as soon as we see an 8v8 tournament come out and running, it's going to change the way that Beyond All Reason is played, basically forever after. This bombing run right there. Huge strafing run right there from these bombers. Does manage to take out a whole bunch of the wind turbines. And looking pretty solid. Yeah, I gotta say, that's a phenomenal bombing run, taking out a lot of the build power there as well. Bombers coming back around for another deployment. Bombs falling out of the skies, taking out a whole bunch of the construction vehicles here as well, too. Looking very rough, yeah. This triggers an all-in. The all-in response is activated as the blue tanks march forward, and there's really only one way they're going to win this, and that's by blowing up all the laboratories and maybe even the commander if they could. Domino is not in a spot for those tanks to really go back and fight, though. With the massive red army of tanks moving forward right here, it's a little bit difficult for them to get into position. And indeed, in very deed, Raxel will end up throwing in the towel. Domino manages to take it with that cheeky bombing run. Despite the tanks in the background, it just wasn't enough to bring it back. With a cheeky little bombing run, the red commander manages to seal the deal and run away with the victory. Very nicely done. ATG tournament is in February, I think. Good to know. Very, very good to know. I've won so many team games with Brutes. It's a little known fact that Brutes are pretty awesome. They're one of the best units for, I mean, just all sorts of 1v1. They're so powerful. They have so much HP, they have so much sustain. They really are just a ridiculously powerful unit. Discord. Oh, that's useful.
Battle
Yeah,
started.
sure. That's the best place. That's the best place to go in case you wanted news. The official Discord channel. Modulo versus User 001. Duking it out on Shallow Straits. What a really funky map. Yeah. All sorts of weird shenanigans to this map. Also, sort of reminds me of, it's like a fusion between Supreme Isthmus and Erebos Lake. It kind of feels the same way. It's got this big island in the center where all the units combine. And then you've got these little kind of like appendages, I guess. Should be pretty interesting to see. User 001 going to be playing as an Armada commander. I'm glad we got to see some Armada commanders this tournament. I was actually a little bit worried that we weren't going to see very many Armada commanders, and it looks like it definitely picked up towards the later stages of the tournament. The older experienced players are all playing Cortex. Just too comfortable playing that grunt versus grunt warfare, but you got to remember, the field of that battle has changed with the Armada pawn receiving a slightly improved pneumatic system and a little bit of a better articulation software update, essentially all benefiting them with a little bit more speed. So now if we look at the speed right here, you can see the move. Yes, move speed is 87 versus the grunt's move speed of 81. So 6 extra move speed, not a ton. It is enough to close that distance, though, and it means that when the pawns do encounter the grunts, there is actually an opportunity for them to jump on top of them. Understated, I feel like, undervalued how massive that improvement is. One of the most improved or most important changes to the 1v1 scene of all time, and I feel like it basically means nothing in the 8v8 scene, so it's basically ignored. In fact, I bet we could find it. There it is. Grunt speed reduced from 84 to 81. Pawn speed increased from 84 to 87. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. This is a very helpful tab, by the way, the changes tab. Oh, modulo is discovered. Bit of a weird situation. Suddenly the red commander is without energy for a D-gun, and so is actually blasted apart by a whole bunch of pawns. Only 10% damage, 11% damage, but, you know, every scrape and nick and cut and bruise does help. Modulo rushing out to these metal extractors, knows the value of getting these up and running a whole lot quicker, as quick as possible, really. User 001 moving out as well. Trying to use that Santa's goodie bag of toys and treats to expand outwards into the map. Constructors building wind turbines and metal extractors in the backline is great too. So, are these commanders prepared for the inevitable comm walk? Is the question. Looks like the red commander is. We've got a couple of LLTs coming up and online. It's always tricky, right? Because you have to gauge how far that commander can get in the couple of seconds that it pops its head out of the water. So I think ideally what you do is you have a torpedo launcher, a depth charge launcher out here to fire away at the commander if it gets in the water. And then you have a couple of LLTs to support it for if it actually pushes through the water and D-guns down the defense there. By the time it gets out of the water, it'll already be so scuffed up by the torpedo launcher that you're going to be in a good way anyway. And it's not like those torpedo launchers are useless after the fact either. One of them on the coastline right here is sufficient defense to thwart any sort of attacks that come through this channel right here in this direction. Not really necessarily going to stop an attack from this angle, but it should serve double duty, essentially. Going for that good old-fashioned Centurion rocket bot combo. Centurions with a walking speed of 45, looks like. The Rocketeers with a walking speed of 51. Means slightly faster, so you have to be a little bit careful about that, right? Ideally, you want your Centurions in front with your Rocketeers in the back, so microing that is definitely a trick. Easy way to do that, though, is just a fight command. I do believe the Centurions have quite a bit less range than the Rocketeers. Yeah. Range of 330 versus a range of 475 means if you fight those Rocketeers forward, they'll just go ahead and move forward until they can fire at whatever they need to fire at. And then the Centurion will do basically the same thing. Ooh, nice. Nice micro right there from the blue commander. Pulls back the Centurion before he gets D-gun right there. It is extremely plot relevant that the Centurion stays up and running. Here it is. The inevitable comm walk, and I don't think we were really prepared for it. User 001 moves in. Sends the D-guns flying. And sends the D-gun flying. There we go. Finally blast down the production, excuse me. Choking on my own excitement as the red commander chokes on their own ambitions. Suddenly the entire base is wiped out by a good old-fashioned commander walk. It's a tale as old as time. User 001. Ruining the dreams of Modulo. It feels nasty to watch. I feel a little unclean after watching User 001 do that, but it's such a common strategy on this map that if you're not prepared for it, then really you're just... It's a blunder of map awareness, really. It's just kind of like a given that a commander could at any point pop out of the water right here to try and go ahead and go for the kill. Now, Modulo has read this correctly, though, and is essentially going to try and win this game right here. And the idea being, if these commanders can intersect, then Modulo can win this game by just commander trading. The important thing, though, is that the commander has to maintain higher health than the blue commander. So, it's the chase is on, the great race. Yeah, so Modulo needs to get over there and start blasting away at the blue commander without taking too much damage. But user 001 does manage to get away with it. Yeah. Cheeky devil, delivering hurt and dismay. A big old stinky lump of coal right on the bed here of Modulo, who now has to go all the way back to the lab. All the way back to the base, rebuild the laboratory, set up those mechs. Is gonna set up a vehicle lab on the front line here. Not the end of the world, obviously that vehicle lab can produce some quality units that can hold this front, especially a couple of pounders on a choke point like this. Very dangerous and very difficult to deal with, but the Blue Commander is already making his way into that next transition here, which is gonna be a bunch of those Banshee gunships. We've seen it before how comfortable this transition is. You just go for a bunch of those Banshee gunships, and while the enemy is rebuilding their base, you just go ahead and build those. Oh, Modulo reading this perfectly, though. Actually sets up the air lab, or at the very least cues the air lab. Gonna build a bunch more LLTs, but I think the read is perfect, but we just don't know the timing on it. I'm not sure if fighters will be out in time in order to actually properly deal with this. Thugs marching their way over as well. Do we have pounders coming out? No, incisors. 1 pounder tank is worth 1,000 incisors in the right situation. Shuriken also obviously a viable potential unit production here. Yeah, Modulo's building that lab. It's yeah, we're gonna scuttle the laboratory here. The idea was there. It's unfortunate to lose all that metal, but obviously it's better than giving any of it to the enemy. Not that there's any resbots or any really options to reclaim any of this wreckage right here. It's just been sitting out on the field for a while. A single aircon to reclaim all that wouldn't even be the worst idea. Just anything to get that metal back into your hands. LLT here on the defense, going to start firing away. Chipping away at this Centurion and Mace that are pushing forward right here. Eventually going to blast down that LLT, but we do have the air lab up and running, so Modulo should be in a position to deal with this nicely. Here come the Banshees, though. 15 Banshees in total, and we do have Shuriken coming out of the lab, but we need fighters. Yeah, this is a rough situation right now for our red hero. No energy, no money, no hope, no chance. Modulo throws in the towel. GG is called. Oh, look at that. Christmas Commander wreckage right there. Leaves a little gingerbread cookie on the ground as the Blue Commander, user 001, manages to take this game in a very clean, a very traditional, a very stock standard, and beautiful Armada execution of just about the nastiest strategy you could possibly go for. A good old-fashioned base de-gunnery to shut down all the production, a push with the units to shut down the lab that was set up on the front line, and then, of course, the Banshees to follow it off and kill the enemy commander. You can see exactly where that de-gun happened right here. The Blue Commander rocketing ahead in economy as the Red Commander is slowed down and forced to continue scaling up very slowly after that. Can't say I didn't expect it. I think I called it about 3 minutes into that game that was going to happen. And it did. And if I can predict something, you'd best believe that the pros had better be able to predict it too. I'm not going to say that I'm, the best at predicting things, but I definitely, I've got a knack for it after a couple thousand hours of watching Beyond All Reason. Somebody in chat said that watching games counts for halftime. If that's the case and I've got the 1,000-hour Chevron count, then it means that I've watched over 2,000 hours of Beyond All Reason. If my quick maths is correct. That is a uncomfortable proposition. Do I get like an honorary contributor badge after I hit 5,000 hours? Is 10,000 hours where you earn the official the contributor badge just for contributing to being part of the community for so long? I actually would love to see it. I don't know if there's a way to look up my own stats, but I would love to see exactly how many hours I put into the game. Maybe I don't want to know that information, though. Actually, on second thought, maybe that's not the kind of information I want to look up. Yeah. Yeah, on second thought, I think it might be all good. Yeah. Whoa, are we going to have a coast-to-coast game? No way. No way. Rexel and Neb. Oh, are they actually playing or not? I don't know. I don't actually know. Okay, hold on. Let me pull up the bracket one more time. I'm asking you guys like you could see it. You can see it, but you know what I mean. On stream, I mean. Alright, so here are the results from round 4. So as you can see, it got a little bit messy because we did have that player leave. Meant that we have to do a round 5 with like a bi-seeded bracket. It's kind of weird. But anyway, Modulo versus User 001 ended 1-1. Nebuchadnezzar versus Ghoul 442 also ended 1-1. And then Raxel versus Domino ended 2-0 in favor of Domino. So what this is saying essentially is that these games have become very balanced, right? In the form of over the course of several of these matches, these games have become really, really balanced. And so it means that going into round 5, these should be basically the best of the best of the best of the matches. It's going to be Dutch SMP versus Raxel, Modulo versus Ghoul, and Domino versus User 001. I don't know why Modulo is going versus Ghoul here. That's a bit of a weird... 2 versus 7 and 3 versus 8, 4 versus 5. I guess we'll watch this one. Domino versus User. That match in my mind is a little bit strange. Some of those matches are very, very bizarre. Nutty Wombat and Launch 27 apparently going up against each other here. This is not part of Fight Night, but I am curious what's going on here. You know, this is one of my favorite things about Beyond All Reason. You can just join in on any game and take a look at what's going on. You can be a total creeper and just spectate random matches, watch people play. It's one of those things. As a content creator who dabbled briefly in tutorial videos and whatnot, it's always in the back of my mind, like how can I explain to people how to play Beyond All Reason, right? How do I intrigue them in the game and make them want to play? And I think oftentimes the best way to do that is just explaining how to play the game. And really, the resources are all in your hands. Like, you can go out here and just watch Nutty Wombat and Launch 27 fight each other right here. 41 open skill versus 25 means this is definitely a bit of a expensive. Not expensive. What's the word? It's a bit of a difference. It's a bit of a vast difference between open skill values. This isn't Fight Night. They've noticed me. Oh no, they've noticed me. I've been spotted. That's alright. All the Fight Night games are still getting up and running right here. Looks like we're still getting set up. So we'll just watch this in the meantime. Don't worry, we aren't missing out on anything watching this. Just enjoying in the downtime. Caster, I think is what you're looking for. Exclamation point caster. Tolero Finn.
Battle started.
Battle started. I'm gonna check right here. Yeah. No fight nights are going on so far, so we're gonna enjoy this game. Launch 27 spawning as the Cortex Commander in blue on the southern side. Nutty Wombat spawning as the Cortex Commander on the northern side. Representing the red team is a Cortex Commander with a bright shiny nose and antlers to match. He's going to be playing some bots and putting down a bunch of wind turbines to boot. 14 wind speed at the maximum is going to be wonderful for producing a whole bunch of that energy and building up a fantabulous economy. Spawning on the southern side, Longy, not Longy, Longe. I always put an I in there for some reason. Longe, 27, going to be going for some solar panels into some wind turbines and also going for bots. Okay, cool to see. Makes a lot of sense on this map, obviously, with these high grounds, these hillsides, these difficult terrains for vehicles to make their way up and over. It makes a lot of sense to go ahead and just go for bots. They're going to be a little more maneuverable, a little bit more flexible, and obviously, at the end of the day, a little bit cheaper as well. Are we up and running? It looks like there's the one I want to watch is wait, what's the match I want to watch? I have to go back and check. Hold on. Domino versus User 001 is the game I actually want to watch. Let me see if it's up and running. Domino, it is almost up and running. Almost up and running. I promise you, we will switch on over to that match as soon as this one is done. No, lol, I played so bad today. Worst performance ever. Don't beat yourself up, Neb. There's always next tournament. There's always next Saturday. At the end of the day, you're basically responsible for bar Fight Night, so nobody can really hold that big of a grudge. I want to see it. I want to see that Fight Night between User and Domino. They're getting ready for it. One of the fun parts about the early game in Beyond No Reason is that you have a lot of time to think your strategy through. It's one of the things that, for instance, StarCraft 2 is kind of the go-to comparative, right? As what I think many would consider to be the most successful RTS game of all time. At least as far as like tournaments and you know, that sort of thing goes. I'm not forgetting about AoE, I'm not forgetting about Warcraft, like all those games exist, right? But I think StarCraft is sort of the game that people think of when they think of RTS games and like professional, you know, competitive RTS gaming. Anyway, as a comparative, it feels like, you know, StarCraft, you basically have to have a plan before you start the game. In Bar, I feel like you have a little bit more time to think it through. Like, I feel like you have a couple of moments to really, you know, ponder your course of action and sort of develop your strategy as you're looking at the match and as you're looking around the map and kind of dealing with your opponent at the same time. That isn't to say that you shouldn't prepare a strategy beforehand, though, right? Like, knowing what maps are good for bots, what maps are good for vehicles, it all factors into being a great player. But suffice it to say that there's a little bit less of a rapid pace tempo, which sure is, you know, as far as everything I know about YouTube, it's bad for viewer retention, sure, but you know, as far as actually enjoying playing the game, I think it's important to recognize that you know, the video game should probably be fun. Yeah, having fun playing a video game? No. We are here for the competitive aspects only, not to have fun. Fun is secondary to success and victory. We will have fun on your own time. Yeah, this user versus domino game is not coming up to spec as quickly as I would have preferred it to. Little engagement over on the right-hand side. Looks like a little bit of a run by over on the left-hand side as well. Launch 27. Gonna go ahead and miss the defense. Yeah, it looks like there were some grunts positioned over here as guards. Completely bypassed right here as a whole bunch of grunts make it past. Uh-oh. Launch 27 does notice, though, and at the very least has the commander in position in order to intercept this. Nicely done by the blue commander. Yeah, gonna set up an LLT over here. Nicely done. Yeah, grunt coming into position as well. A little bit of repair micro on that grunt should be able to hold this defense as well. Won't manage to make it out, but still bringing down those grunts here from the red commander. Not a lot that's going to be able to be done about that on the right-hand side. Meanwhile, nice counterattack over on the northern side. Splitting up the APM here from Nutty Wombat, forcing him to deal with that run-by while also trying to control this army moving forward right here. Oh, and a big army it is indeed. D-Gun connects in a big way with a whole bunch of those units. The commander is such a threatening presence right here that the red army is forced off of what otherwise would have been a really, really successful jump. Going into the backline and trying to kill these wind turbines would obviously be a wonderful strategy as well. Oh, are we up and running? Nope. Excel? Modulo? No. I don't know where it went. The lobby has disappeared. There we go. Let me check this. Sorry. Handling things behind the scenes. I've mentioned this before, but it always feels like when you're watching the pro players, it feels like they look like bots. The way that they control their units and the way that they just the way that they control everything in general. Domino apparently waiting for waiting for user. Whatever is not popping up right there. We'll continue to enjoy this game, I suppose. Not a bar Fight Night game, I suppose. Still a 1v1, though. Channeling the spirit of bar Fight Night. Who doesn't enjoy jumping around between lobbies and having a look at a whole bunch of different games? Energy storage coming up and running right here for the blue commander. Probably a good idea on a map like this where wind speed is fairly intermittent. I would say going for one of those storages makes a lot of sense. Grunts here on the defense, going to be quite nice. Blasting down all of these units with relative efficiency, and of course the LLT is making short work of all that stuff as well. Modulo versus Ghoul. User versus... oh, wait. Is that the one with Domino in it? It sure is. There we go. 9 seconds. We made it. We made it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. Perfect. Perfection. Yeah, these guys haven't even loaded in yet. Haven't even loaded into the game yet. Domino, still connecting. There we go. Does manage to connect to the server. When's the last time you had commentary on connecting to the server? Yeah. It's rare. It's rare. It's worth it, though. Oh, 16 title speed. My goodness. Why does the water map why does the water map have 16 title speed? That's horrible. I suppose it's a bit of a tactical decision you have to make then. Will you be going for wind turbines on the coast with your commander instead of boosting out the laboratory? How are you going to handle all that? It's a tricky decision. User 001. This game going to show why I don't play C. A little bit of a technical question here. If I won 2 games in Modulo, we have the same rating, extra round. Yeah, I think it goes down to a tiebreaker, but I'm not the adjudicator here. I just watch the games and talk about them.
Battle started.
It's crazy how that works. Yeah, I don't know exactly how it works. I assume... I don't know. I assume it goes to like a grand finale between these 2 commanders, yeah. Some sort of best of 3 or something like that. Always good to ask your admins how that actually works, though, before just, making bold claims. Taking bold stances. 20 wind speed per title, or 20 power per wind turbine is insane. Whoa, okay. Alright, user 001 getting spicy with it, getting absolutely jiggy with it. Going to go ahead and build a hovercraft platform. What? Ladies and gentlemen and germs, there is... This might be... I think this might actually be the first time I've ever seen a hovercraft platform in a competitive series. In a competitive 1v1, to say the very least, but in a competitive series in general. This is insane. There's a good reason why we don't see hovercraft platforms, by the way. It's because these units are so expensive and so flimsy. Hovercraft are an interesting choice here. Okay. I guess the idea is to do some really early damage, to try and get units across the map as quick as possible and do as much damage as we can, using some of these Seeker fast attack hovercraft in order to try and pop, I guess, the energy production. Yeah, because if you can kill these wind turbines, then you're never going to build a boat. The boats are so energy expensive that if you kill the wind turbines, there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. It just comes down to, is there enough damage to actually shut down all those wind turbines and kill everything before the enemy has boats on the water, which basically you're never going to be able to beat. Oh, this is a crazy strategy. This is a really insane strategy right here from user 001. Here we go. Hover tank coming out now. The radar, there's no radar available for Domino. Let's switch to their player view. Yeah, you can see no radar detection save for the commander's built-in radar sensor. You can see it on the backpack right there. Does detect something on land, and suddenly a hovercraft in the backline. Oh my goodness. This is ridiculous. Hovercraft in a pro level 1v1 is unheard of. And yet it is devastating. Oh my goodness, he's gonna do it. He actually has managed to do it. The second hovercraft comes out as well and is gonna... Oh my goodness! He's gonna take down every wind turbine that the blue commander has built. Domino now in a crippling energy lack. Suddenly, the entire economy for the blue commander has been sundered. Now the crocodile is moving forward as well. So, where do you go after this is the question. There's so many questions in my mind. So many questions in my mind. Where do you go after this? The crocodile now going to start harassing the actual laboratory. We have the scout hovercraft moving forward, trying to find... Yeah, actually going to find the constructor. Oh, go for the constructor. Well, constructor makes it out of the line of sight right there. Is unfortunate. Laboratory very low on HP. Yep, there we go. The the hovercraft still blasting down those wind turbines. So pesky. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the crocodile has forced the assault frigate back here. What a wild strategy. I don't know if I've ever seen a strategy quite as bizarre as this one. Why is it kind of working? Will the game come to Steam? Looks like somebody already answered, but the answer is yes. Eventually. Eventually it will. There is plans to put it on Steam. There's a whole roadmap, actually. It's all on the website. I would definitely recommend taking a look at it if you're curious, because it also details a bunch of the development stuff that, like, they want to work on but haven't gotten done quite yet. So if you're a developer, if you're a programmer, if you're familiar with design or whatever, it's a good opportunity to get involved. So, this is the issue, is Hovercraft don't have a depth charge launcher. If Hovercraft had a way to clear out metal extractors, I think this would be a really, really important... This would be a really viable strategy, is what I mean. But they just don't. There's no way... There's actually no way for the Hovercraft to deal with the expansions right here. So all they can do is just try and kill the Constructor. And already this Constructor's built 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 metal extractors. A little bit of Miss Micro right here from user 001. Miss Micro that I think you just can't afford. Those, This Constructor has been allowed to get so much value, and I really don't think that user 001 can justify it. Now these Hovercraft are going across, and every one of these has to stay alive right now. Is it worth it? I just don't know. I just don't know. This is one of those interactions that we just never see, and so I have such a hard time gauging whether it works or not. The submarine was abandoned. We never ended up making the submarine, which does mean that these metal extractors are going to be... They're going to stay up and running. I think it's time to transition out of this laboratory. I think you have to. The question I have is, can you? Looks like you can do the trick. Okay, so there is a trick. A good old-fashioned Armada trick, as Armada is well known to have many a trick. Basically, it involves building these little, these shark's teeth, or in the case of a land laboratory, dragon's teeth, the little fortification walls, and then self-destructing them on top of the laboratory. It does a bunch of damage to the laboratory, and because Reclaim is based on the health of the laboratory, you can actually reclaim it super, super quickly, which is pretty interesting. I still can't justify all this damage. Like, there's now frigates headed towards the base. Hover tanks are never going to really be able to compete with the frigates. They just don't have the range or the firepower. I appreciate the rocket hovercraft firing away here. Firing its missiles, by the way. Did you see that? We haven't gotten a chance to see these because we haven't seen very much T2 this game, but the missile is a beautiful little candy cane that fires up into the air and rains down on top of the enemy forces here. Awesome to see. User 001 on the walk. I think that's the right decision. Yeah, I think going for the laboratory here is the right move. I think there's a reality here where user 001 moved forward a lot sooner. Utilizing the energy deficit that they put the blue commander in, marched forward a whole lot sooner, captured or reclaimed or otherwise destroyed the laboratory, and then used that energy advantage to move into move onto land and start harassing with the hovercraft. I think that was the correct approach here. Obviously not like it's complete retrospect, right? Looking at the way that this game has gone and the way that it could have gone and the way that things shook out eventually, it seems like that's the way that this build order is meant to go. Because as it stands right now, user 001 is actually in a really tricky situation. The submarine is uncontestable. There's no way to launch depth charges down into the water as a hovercraft player. Yeah, this is a rough loss. Such an awesome strategy. Yeah, frowny face indeed. GG, well played by Domino. It's such a... It's hard not to commend the commander going for unique strategies, but it's worth remembering that Domino is dealing with that unique strategy and doing the best that they can to play against the bizarre strategy that the red commander has come up to. It's GG's all around, but what a fun way of playing that. I made that lab by accident. That's how bad I am at sea. Oh, and it all comes out. The entire strategy comes out. It wasn't a pre-planned strategy at all. It turns out it was a complete accident. That is hilarious. Well, at the end of the day, it's you know, it's the sort of innovation that we need, right? That early hovercraft lab ended up meaning that all of a sudden, hovercraft on the other side of the map, where you know that they're going to be going for wind turbine, because those tidal generators were so bad, you know that they're going to be going for wind turbines, means that you can suddenly start to do a bunch of damage to the energy economy. So I think, like I said, I think there was a very real reality where dealing all that damage to the wind turbines and then using that damage to move your commander across the map before there was any sort of depth charge or torpedo launchers, and then just using the commander to actually blast out in the laboratory. A very, very high level strategy born of essentially an accident. Yeah, really, really interesting shenanigans right there. Why can't Cortex do that trick? So, Cortex laboratories, the way that they're shaped, at the very least the bot and the vehicle laboratory, they're hovercraft you can still pull it off with. But the Cortex bot and vehicle laboratory just have that big gap in the center. And if you put a wall in there, I don't believe it actually blows up the laboratory. It might work for the vehicle lab, but I don't think it works for the bot lab. I could totally be wrong about that. I don't play very much Cortex, and I haven't played Cortex Eco in a long time, so that's usually where that strategy ends up becoming really useful. But typically that's why, is because Armada can literally put those walls on top of their laboratory. I don't know that Cortex can actually put the walls on their laboratory in the same way to do damage. Might be the case that they can, but it is it is, as far as I'm aware, an Armada exclusive trick. Some might even consider it a bug, because I'm not entirely convinced that you're supposed to be able to build walls on your laboratory. I believe it's an interaction that is defined by the way that the laboratory builds units. The laboratory, as I understand it, is essentially the same as like a constructor, like a console or a twitcher, in the sense that it can, you know, place a unit in space and build it. Except for, of course, that it can't move. Like, if I understand correctly, and there's a good chance that I do not, that's how buildings and those constructors all kind of work. So it's sort of an issue of, like, you basically have to you basically have to pick your battle, right? You can either program it like that and have the unit be built on the laboratory, and then as the unit marches away, the laboratory becomes solid again. Or you can, you know, build it like in air and drop it down onto the plate or something. I don't know. There's a lot of funk with it, but it is what it is. I wish Hover's got a bit of a buff. Says
Battle started.
Chili Dex. I agree. It's a tricky situation, right? Because Hovers they're the most situational tool in the game. Hovercraft are, without a doubt, yeah, the most situational tool in the game, especially in the early game too. Like that sort of branches out into a possible discussion in the, you know, T2, T3. But in the early game, they're a really niche tool that not really everybody is going to make use of, and there's not a reason to make use of in most situations. It's really, really rare that there's a water map that features water that isn't deep enough for boats but is too deep for units, and like yeah, it has to be like an obstruction, but also it can't be like beneficial to put boats in the water. The only map that I can think of is like River Run. If you increase the water level on River Run, you end up with this really interesting situation where you have like these like water blockages that can be solved by going hovercraft or by terrain shaping the world, which is, you know, there's kind of some interesting ideas. It's a pretty funky situation you find yourself in if you ever end up actually building hovercraft. Like you've definitely arrived at a situation that isn't common. Domino. I just realized his name is Da-min-o. The O's are lowercase for some reason. The D and the min are uppercase and therefore should be yelled. Da-min-o. I don't know if the microphone even picked that up properly. User 001, good old-fashioned Armada commander. Can't be mad about the way that this Armada versus Cortex fight is going on. Tickle on the high ground has managed to find a constructor and a metal extractor to boot. We'll actually kill the metal extractor before it finishes, which I used to think was basically not very much of an issue because you save some of the metal, right? But I have come to the conclusion, I have wizened and matured and come to the conclusion that it's actually more damaging because that wreckage isn't left behind. So as this is destroyed, oh, we're an inch away from killing this metal extractor. Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. Because that wreckage isn't left behind, the metal is not left on the field. Like this, for instance. You can see that wreckage is now available. And we can rebuild it, and we can eat up a bunch of that metal. We can save about, I think it's 70% of the metal. They changed the sizes of some labs. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know about that. It's a bit of a weird situation, because you want to kill that metal extractor as close to it finishing as possible, but before it actually finishes. That way all the metal evaporates into thin air rather than just being left on the field. But also you want to do it as close to finishing so that you get the maximum metal value out of it, right? Bit of a funky situation. Very strange. Very, very strange. 20 wind speed, definitely a map I could see. I could see solar panel, or rather energy converter scaling working quite nicely. There's a legitimate argument for Armada commanders to go for solar panel, or not solar panel, energy converter scaling on certain maps in certain times. This is not one of those maps necessarily because there's so many metal spots available for the claiming. And in fact, I think user 001 is playing this very, very cautiously, very, very, very cautiously, relatively speaking. There should probably have been 2 constructors moving around, one to move up this northern side and one to move around the southern side. Instead, we went for 1 constructor moving down the southern side and then kind of around. And I'm not sure that it was entirely worth it. Yeah, because now suddenly we've got a lot more units on the field right here. The metal economies are basically neck and neck, and that's because the commander has moved forward right here. But Domino, and the counterpart to that, has just stayed at home and has been able to produce hundreds of units. Well, maybe not hundreds. Has been able to produce dozens of units just by spamming out using the commander as the build power here and then using the actual constructors to go build the metal extractors. The red commander is kept in the game here, though, by all of these run-bys. You can see these pawns moving around all over the place. Missing the commander is a little bit of a bummer, or the constructor, rather, is a little bit of a bummer. They will find the one in the backline, though, and as long as we manage to snipe this, I want to say this is probably going to be efficient. User 001 definitely having some issues, some APM issues. I swore there was a way to see their APM if you hovered over something. Oh, there it is. APM of 35 for the red commander versus an APM of 34 for the blue commander. Bar not necessarily a game that rewards higher APM to a certain extent, right? There's a big asterisk next to that, but to an extent, Bar isn't necessarily the kind of game that you get monumentally more value out of having higher APM. What you get is you don't miss your run-bys like that, right? You don't miss opportunities to kill units. You don't miss units that sneak by. You can micro multiple armies at the same time. That's really what the extra APM buys you, is the ability to multitask a lot better. This is a massive surround we're going for. The blue commander going for the biggest surround ever seen in Cortex kind. Meanwhile, user 001 is just sending it. Just full on sending it. Unfortunate timing right here, as, yeah, the red commander is without energy. Wind speed is plummeting. Oh no. Wind speed is absolutely plummeting. The trigger is pulled and the units dive. The base is unprotected. There's no units at home. Pawns are coming to assist their commander. User 001 is trying to defend here. It's going to come down to a good old-fashioned commander battle. So much damage. Are we gonna What are we going to do about that laboratory? That is the question. User 001 trying to go for the kill. Trying to go for the commander kill. Gets this around with the pawns. Oh my goodness. User 001 in the cheesiest game of all time. The Hail Mary of Hail Marys.
Battle
User
ended.
001 manages to win this game by pushing forward and just lasering down the commander and blasting it apart with a whole bunch of pawns. Coming down to a 7% health total. I could not have predicted that ending. That was a wild one. Domino with a distinctively the entire game with an overwhelming action of units on the other side of the map with the advantage on every single side. It came down to just a good old-fashioned metal battle. A good old-fashioned commander battle, I mean. E-storage OP. Yeah. Energy storage apparently allowing the red commander to engage right there. I can't believe it. I'm shell-shocked. I am absolutely bewildered and beflustered. That was unbelievable. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There is another coast-to-coast game, so I'm going to jump into this. Yeah, in progress from 29 seconds. But there you go. I do believe that will be the tournament victors. I'm not entirely sure, actually. We'll wait to see the final results after the end of all the matches here. As we wrap up round 5, there should be a distinct winner amidst all the chaos. Well, yeah, game hasn't even started yet. Dutch SMP going to be starting in the water, whereas the blue commander is going to be starting not in the water. Tricky questions to answer here are things like, how will Dutch SMP pay for all the energy production? We're gonna go for titles? We will go for titles. Okay. The thing about titles is they're very expensive, and at 16, I'm not sure if they're more or less efficient than solar panels, but you're definitely pretty close. It's, let me think, at 14 they were just about as efficient as solar panels, so you're probably just barely over the line as far as energy production goes. Easier to do this math with 2 of these title generators. 170 for 32 energy production is, yeah, it's moderately better than solar panels, but not really by very much. It's a couple % better than solar panels, but just barely. Did the shipyard get a reskin? Wait a minute. Oh yeah, the shipyard totally got a reskin. Oh, cool. Well, that's neat. Yeah, it looks like the Cortex shipyard actually got a little bit of a reskin. Did it, or am I crazy? No, it definitely did. Yeah, it definitely got a bit of a touch-up. Yeah. Yeah, that looks very nice. Yeah, it's got this little like gantry thing floating around on it. It's got all sorts of cool stuff. Very neat. Okay, cool. I thought I was tripping for a second. The Armada gantry still looks basically the same. I can't detect any noticeable change. Looks like we got some little build cannons popping out the little curbs on the side there, which is interesting. Wind turbines for the Blue Commander. So, much more energy efficient production here for the Blue Commander. And also, of course, Armada wind turbines are quite a bit cheaper. So, going for these wind turbines is better on multiple different respects. We're going to rush out a submarine. Okay. The constructor here will not get the opportunity to... Is that a cheese emoji? Well, that's great. That's really splendid. Thank you for that. Sorry, you completely interrupted me, but thank you so much for that. Submarine having a rough time here. Anyway, what was I saying? I got completely distracted by that cheese emoji. Rushing out the submarine is an interesting choice. Already scouted right here by Dutch SMP. He saw the torpedo fire, so should be aware of the fact that there's a submarine out. I guess we're just going to send it across the map. Okay. There's some interesting interactions between the way that things work on this map. One of which being obviously that the main fighting grounds happens in the water. So, as of the fact that the fighting all takes place in the water, it makes sense that most of the economy is going to be in here. How long you been playing Bar? Says Dutch SMP. The 11 open skill Red Commander. Few months, cries out Raxel. Impressive for a 42 open skill player to be to have just been playing a couple of months. Not bad. Couple of weeks. Well, there you have it. The relative skill difference between the two. A couple of months versus a couple of weeks, and this is what it looks like. The economy in complete shambles here, as Dutch SMP just does not have a tool in order to shut down this submarine, tearing apart the backline. Had this Red Commander gone for a wind turbine-based economy, this would have been basically GG. Luckily, though, for the Blue Commander, all of the energy production was in the water, and so it meant that the Red Commander is now completely without energy production. Very low on metal production as well, and the submarine lived to tell the tale on top of everything. Frigate is headed over towards the side of the map. Going to eagerly start firing away here at the destroyer and the base itself. Capture command going on there. Pretty funny. Submarine blasting apart metal extractors, and Dutch SMP is in a rough way. Trying to fire away at these boats, carving off, what is that, about 7%, 6 or 7% per shot. Not bad, not very tremendous either, though. Ooh. Construction boat will live. Gotta be very careful about that. Laboratory goes down. And this is, I mean, more or less what you'd expect out of watching a 42 OS go up against an 11. A surgical precision carving apart the economy, the production, and eventually the commander here of the red team. Now we simply need a destroyer in order to actually fire at this commander and kill it. GG is called, though. Dutch SMP leaves the game, and the blue commander manages to take the victory. Not the closest match I've ever seen, but maybe giving you a good perspective on what some top-tier naval play looks like. Yeah, you can see a roller coaster ride, but mostly just because this graph is so condensed. All of these are amplified. Really not a very different or distinct game as far as separations go. Towards the end there, it's just the blue commander running away with the advantage. Wind speed is high. You should probably build wind turbines. That's going to be the grand takeaway here. Oops. Go ahead and hit that button, and we will go ahead and head on over to the brackets. So, if we pull up the final brackets, looks like it will be waiting for final scores to be tallied. Is that game number 1 or game number 2? Looks like that was game number 1, actually. Let me see. Did they already play Not entirely sure. There we go. Rexel picking the next map, and it looks like we will have one more match. I like to take these opportunities to commend the bravery of the souls who are relatively new to the game and throw themselves headfirst into the fire and the flame. I have the utmost respect for your confidence and your willingness to play with some of the best, because at the end of the day, the tournament is for fun. And if you're willing to join in on the fun, then what more could I do but respect that? Nothing is going to make you better either than playing against the best of the best. Another silver lining to take home from all this. Pardon me while I blow my nose. Trying to do it without upsetting everybody in the audio section. Everybody listening in. Not missing too much, though, I guarantee you. 100%. Dutch SMP spawning as an Armada commander here on the Lowlands. Going to be playing good old-fashioned Armada bots. Going for wind turbines as well. On a map like this, where wind speed will never drop below the efficiency bar for Armada, I suppose it makes a lot of sense to go ahead and go for some of those wind turbines. Spawning on the other side of the map, spawning as a Cortex commander, spawning as Raxel themselves. Going to be playing some good old-fashioned Cortex bots. So, it's a bot versus bot versus bot versus bot matchup. Should be pretty cool to see. I've been telling you the lab's got some reskins and resizes. Oh, I remembered your note about the resizes. I didn't realize that you meant that they got reskinned as well. Man, you know what? I bet you could pull that trick off with the Cortex lab. It's got a little base plate on it now. So you know what? I redact my previous claim. I bet you probably could pull that trick off with the construction. In fact, I bet we could test it right here. Yep, you totally could. So basically the way that it would work is you would, oh, not that. You would do something like this. You would build a big square of these. I believe it's 4. It might be 3. I think it's 3 actually. Yeah. So you'd build a square of these walls inside of the laboratory, and then self-destruct them, and it would allow you to break it, which is cool. Armada lab looks basically the same. I want to say it's subtle work. Tharcy did the lab resizing remodeling. Man, Tharcy's always doing some good stuff. I always love Tharcy's work. Tharcy is one of the longtime developers for Beyond All Reason, in case anybody doesn't know. Tharcy has always been willing to show me and you know, ask for feedback and whatnot on work that he's doing on some of the skins and units and things like that. Has showed me some of the stuff, like, you know, little previews and things. And I've always appreciated it. I've always thought that it always looked really awesome to see. There's a lot of cool, like... Maybe it wasn't Tharcy. I'm trying to remember. I look at a lot of Beyond All Reason content, so it's hard for me to keep track sometimes. But anyway, all I can say is that the Bar dev team has done a wonderful job of... From the grandest scales of like balance and design and gameplay loop and all that sort of stuff, down to the nitty-gritty details of like what should this unit look like, and like how many guns should it have on its body, like all that sort of stuff. They've done a wonderful job of paying just very close attention to all that, and I really commend that. I think that's sort of, I mean, when it comes down to it, that's the kind of love and attention that this game has and receives from its developers, and that I think it permeates through every cell of this game's core. But what do I know? I'm just the voice behind the microphone, talking into a can and rattling your ears with some good old-fashioned nonsense. Pawns, yeah, looking for that engagement. The thing is, their speed is not so great against grunts that they can really afford to take a prolonged kiting engagement. This is a rough contain right here from the red commander, or well, it's rough for the blue commander, I should say. It's a wonderful contain for the red commander, who is now free to expand out there on the map wherever. Has essentially gained complete map control at this point. Centurion finally getting some engagement here. This is rough. Yeah, LLTs make a lot of sense right now. What a crazy rush right here. Dutch SMP just overwhelmed by the production base right now from the red commander. Didn't manage to get a constructor out to build all those metal extractors. Had a constructor gone out instead of the or did we use a constructor? Oh, there was a constructor. Yeah, it was a single constructor right here. GG is called. The double constructor expand with the spam of units coming out from Raxel here was just enough to overwhelm the blue commander. Well, I'm sure we'll see it in the graphs. Yeah, just sort of a general lead that scaled slowly but surely over time. That's the most common way a game of Beyond All Reason does come to a conclusion. tremendous kudos to Dutch SMP for playing in this tournament and just bumping out hanging out and having a good time. How are you so damn good? Very good, very good. Very neat to see. All right, that concludes round 5, round 4, round 5. Round 5. Okay, that concludes round 5, and that will be reported immediately. Okay. And that should mean, ladies and gentle worms, that we have our winner. Coming in, rank number 8, the bottom of the leaderboard, none other than Shashkarin. Who left the tournament early and does not have a position in it. Shashkarin coming in number 8. Number 7, just above him, Dutch SMP, the newcomer to the format and the newcomer to the game, making an appearance and beating an old-timer, coming ahead of Shashkarin, which is awesome to see. Sure, Shashkarin was, left the tournament and no longer competed, but what does it matter? 7th place is still better than 8th. Coming in at number 6, Nebuchadnezzar, the tournament's organizer itself, according to his own propositions, having a rough time. Oh, we are doing a 6th round. Oh, okay. My bad. I will stop announcing the tournament winners then, because apparently we will be doing a 6th round. Let me confirm that and see exactly what's going on. Multiplayer. I'm not sure exactly how it's gonna go. What will round 6 consist of? I'm not entirely sure. It looks like we already have a definitive winner. I think they've done a great job. Just look at what is going on with Industrial Annihilation. Oh, yeah, I heard that game was kind of a flop. Ooh, Densune knows me, senpai. Jacobson, pleading for me to look over at this chat. Is there an option to live stream on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously? You betcha. That's exactly what's happening right now. Requesting more tilt camera. Okay. I can do that if we do a round 6. I'm not entirely sure if we are or aren't right now. I'm still waiting to figure that out. Yeah, man, talk about a little bit of a underwhelming flop from Industrial Annihilation. I was really excited for that game, and it turns out it kind of was like a womp womp. No round 6. Okay. I didn't think so. I didn't understand why we would need a round 6, but I'm not the one running this thing. Coming in number 5, Ghoul442 with an impressive showing of 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie. Followed, or led rather, by our 4th place leader, User001JA, and that brings us to number 3. Coming in 3rd place, winning the bronze medal today, it's going to be none other than RaxL/Cheppy12. Apparently, maybe one of their other usernames. Coming in with 2 wins, 1 loss, and 2 ties. Coming in number 2 with the silver medal, it's going to be none other than Domino. 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. And our match winner, or our tournament winner rather, our game lead, our hero, our champion, number 1, with the gold medal, the silver gold medal, Modulo, clocking in with 3 wins, 0 losses, and 1 tie. Not a perfect game, I guess, but it's as close as you can get to a perfect game without it being a perfect game. Coming in with a score of 4.0 to lead the pack and managed to take the victory. A Buchholz of 8.5. I have no idea what a Buchholz is. The medium Buchholz system is used to break ties in Swiss tournaments. The value displayed as the standings table is the sum of the player's opponent's scores, with the best and worst scores discarded. Oh, okay. So it's how good your opponents did against you as like a tiebreaker. Interesting. So congratulations to Modulo, who is going to take the win on our tournament today, on the Bar Fight Night tournament. Sincere congratulations and a thank you to everybody who played today. Always awesome to see you guys come out and support, and always fun to watch these guys bash heads in a pro level tournament. I believe there's going to be more to come too, so if you're not already familiar, I would definitely recommend checking out the Discords. We'll see. We could probably have one of the admin here throw the links. I believe there's a command for it if you type !, It probably pulls up a big list of commands. Let me see. I don't know. I'm really unfamiliar with all these systems. Trying to become more familiar, but I'm unfamiliar for the time being. There is a Discord channel for Bar Fight Night. There's a Discord channel for the Pro League. There's a Discord channel for Nation Wars. And, of course, there's a Discord channel for the Brightworks. On top of all that, there's, of course, the official Beyond Horizon Discord. I think it's !Discord. We'll pull up the Discord channel. And that will allow you to join in on all the fun where all of this is always announced. The official Beyond Horizon Discord channel is obviously the place that I would recommend the most. And then all those outside of that are just accessory, where you're going to be able to do a whole bunch of other stuff and things. Now, outside of that, if you are interested in playing some chill games or watching some chill games, if you're interested in having a good old-fashioned Fight Night Saturday evening, you are all more than welcome to join me. I will be starting up this stream once more on the official live channel right here that you're watching on the Twitch and on my own YouTube channel, where we'll be having the after party in about 30 or so minutes. I'm going to go grab a bite to eat. I'm going to have a little bit of a refresher. We're going to take an intermission, and I will see you all back here again in just a little while. And if you're not coming back for that, then I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed the tournament, and I hope to see you in the very next one. I hope you enjoyed all that I have to offer, all the lands that I present to you. And I will see you in the very next time. I'm going to go ahead and shut off the recording, and we'll have about 3 minutes of playback. It's, time travel, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, up and down and all around sort of stuff. But I hope to see you again. If you'd like a more interactive experience, I definitely recommend tuning in for the next, I've been calling it the after party, so that's just what I'm going to go with from now on. Hope you'll tune in for the after party where we check out some good old-fashioned Beyond Horizon shenanigans, and where there will be quite a bit more interactivity, as I won't be burdened by a 3-minute past to future delay. See you all in the next one, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace out. Love you. Have a great holidays, and stay cool.